never really gone. In every beat, you're the rhythm, the song. A shadow lingering, a fire grown cold. Yet in this melody I still hold. Under the lights, but I'm feeling alone. Lost in the crowd, yet your ghost calls me home. Echoes of laughter, memories stay, but in my heart the colors fade away. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go. Dancing through shadows, lost in the night, searching for you in the fading lights. We had a fire, but now it's ash, holding on tight to a love that passed. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go. Quiet you fade, but never really gone. In every beat, you're the rhythm, the song. A shadow lingering, a fire, yet in this melody I still hold. But in my heart the colors fade away. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go. You're just a dream I can't let go. Dancing through shadows, lost in the night, searching for you in the fading lights. We had a fire, but now it's ash, holding on tight to a love that passed. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go.
Hello and welcome. Oh, my webcam's gone a little bit dark. Hello and welcome to brief technical issues which you had at the start of the stream while OBS decided to not behave itself. Yes, people can see me now. Good stuff. So anyway, welcome to the VRC ProtoH series once again. One of my favorite series to commentate just because of the sheer ambition of the drivers and talent that we have on the fields. Today we are racing at Mexico, and one of my favorite tracks, I must admit, because of the difference in tempo, the chicanes, the fast flowing corners, and of course that glorious main straight. I am joined in the commentary box today by Josh Richards. Once again, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Really looking forward to getting back into the action here. And it's going to be a really interesting one. We're 2,000 meters above sea level here in Mexico. The air is thinner and the cars are going to be performing so much different to how they have done in the first few races.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that's worth mentioning, actually, is that the simulation is done a little bit differently here. There's been parameters that have been changed, and so that means that the downforce levels have been drastically reduced to simulate the less air density that you have at such a high altitude. If I remember, it's above 4,000 feet, if approximately. I need to brush up on my Mexico geography a little bit, maybe. But yes, it's one of those things where drivers are going to have to adapt to it very, very quickly, and qualifying, if you haven't done much practice, that's the time to do it. So I'm seeing in practice a lot of cars getting very slippery and slidey, especially in those last two sectors where there's basically corner after corner. The braking zone's very tricky here, but what I propose that we do is look at the standings briefly before we get into qualifying, as drivers are doing their warm-up laps at the moment, as the tires take a few laps to get up to temperature and just for drivers to get into the zone. So while we're at it, let's have a look at the driver's standings. So this is a table given to us, and you can see Ferrand at the top just because of the sheer consistency, I'd say. He's been there every single track and he's just managed to make the others make mistakes. Well, he hasn't won a race. He has been fighting for victory for both times that we have had racing, and I predict it will be exactly the same today, don't you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of bad luck. I mean, all things considered, even though he's leading the championship, he got quite unlucky in these first few races with the back markers, which some would say have cost him those two victories. But ultimately, he still leads the championship by 12 points. Lucas in second, done a pretty good job of picking up the win last time out. Antonio Di Giovanni winning the first race as well puts him into P3. But it should be a very, very exciting championship battle for these final few rounds. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be one of those circuits where you'll never be sure of a race winner until the very end, because it's such a high-speed track that you're using a lot of fuel. You have to be careful of the tires. A bit like in the Formula 1 races, you have to make sure that you have enough tires for the end of the race. So with those very fast-flowing corners, it can be just all over the place, skedaddling, basically, and that's something that drivers will have to cope with. But talking about coping with it, let's see if they are getting on well in qualifying, as hopefully when I hit this button, we won't have any further problems. Let's find out. So yes, we are now on board in qualifying, as we have Di Giovanni at the top at the moment, which is brilliant stuff to see him back in the running. Di Giovanni has got, I would say, a little bit lucky with having quite a few points on the board, but he's made some quite brutal mistakes, wouldn't you think, in the past two races. And so, winning the first one, but that was a little bit of an outlier because of the fuel situation. That rule has been changed a little bit. He's got a lot to, I wouldn't say prove the pace is there, but he's got to win that race again just to cement his position at the top, right?
Well, I mean, of course, deep down he'll know he got that win, but there's going to be people questioning whether it was the strategy or whether he would have had the pace. It seemed that Buller was very dominant when we were out in Spa. His pace seemed to reign supreme, but Antonio Di Giovanni probably saving a lot of fuel throughout that one, so knowing his true pace is going to be quite tough. If he can pull off a win, though, in one of these final two races here in Mexico City or next time out in Watkins Glen, I think that will really cement him as one of the drivers of this championship.
Yeah, for sure. We have in second place Misberg, who's in the pits at the moment. So the time's already falling down. Urbanov in third place. Really, really nice times right there from Urbanov. And it's good to see, actually, on the board that we have a very dense pack at the moment. Marino in fourth place, with Ferrand in fifth right there, as we were saying, consistency. Warren in sixth at the moment. Belazug seventh. Miranda in eighth, and ProtoH ninth, with Muelman, our previous winner, in 10th at the moment. But as you can see, those times beginning to tumble as the tires warm up and as drivers get into the process, but I'm very encouraged by these lap times at the moment.
Yeah, the driver's already looking pretty strong, and I mean, look at the gap at the front. It's a couple thousandths of a second between Di Giovanni and Mitsberg up at the front. So, especially once we get down to those higher grip situations, the tyres are in the window, the fuel is burnt off, and we're down to those final few minutes. I think this could be a really, really tough fight. There's so many fast drivers here, and so many drivers who will be eyeing up that pole position as Buller goes fastest to 28.662, puts himself a couple tenths clear up at the front.
Yeah, Buller is looking to be, and Buller stopped there on track straight away. The tyres and the brakes cooking right there as they go into the pit. So we'll stay on board with Mitsberg at the moment, who's actually on an out lap. So let's switch to maybe Di Giovanni, who's on a push lap now, I would expect. As yeah, it's going to be one of those things where the drivers again. Oh, that's a huge snap of oversteer, and that's going to be an aborted lap right there. As we were just about to talk about these tyres. No warm-up, well, no tyre warming blankets, I should say, so there is a warm-up phase, and from what I've heard, it's lasting about 2 or 3 laps, so it's a very tricky predicament for our drivers to deal with, and especially with this track being such a high-speed one, you really have to gain the confidence, because with circuits like Spa and, you know, well, I'd say any track apart from this one and maybe Monaco, you have at least straights where you can weave a lot on the straights to get the temperature building up, whereas on this one you've only got one main straight and the rest is corners, so if you're already sliding and losing the car, one, you might overheat the tyres, and also two, you might lose confidence, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword going into qualifying.
Yeah, it's quite a relentless track, and you've got to be careful with the rear tyres as well. That final sector, so tricky on the rear tyres as Di Giovanni coming across the line. We'll keep an eye on him, see if he is going for a push lap this time around. Has he got those tyres into that temperature window that he wants as he powers his way down towards turn number 1? Tricky braking zone, got to spot your braking point, absolutely nail it as he locks up a little bit going into the corner, and I think has returned to the pit lane. Yeah,
I think he's cooked those tyres quite literally as we got put on off the track as well. And that Cadenza is looking really tricky to drive today. After the Cadenza has been basically the car you wanted to be in, yeah, it's looking like maybe that might not be the case, and hopefully the Franza can do better this time out, because they had such a difficult race last time out of Road Atlanta. We didn't have a Franza in the top 5, I think, for the entirety of the race, so very, very tricky for them last time out. But that is the double-edged sword of choosing and picking a car for the entire season. Sometimes you can have the advantage, another time you can't, and you can't have it all your own way. And I would say, actually, ironically, for Bruno Ferrand, to add to his consistency, the Peugeot has been the most consistent performing car, I'd say. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a surprising one, really. The balance of that car is really tricky to manage, so the way that Buller's been managing it as well, it's really impressive. The fact he's consistently been right up there, he's had the consistency to put the laps together, so yeah, it's been really impressive from him, and I'm expecting to see the same here tonight, although could be a tricky one with how rear-reliant this circuit is.
Yeah, it's going to be a difference for our drivers, because obviously they're pushing flat out right now on the quali laps with the battery, and they're going to have to figure out how to save the battery and save the fuel during the race, and indeed save the tyres. So they're going to have 2 different driving styles, and that makes a huge difference between you know, pushing pace and conserving pace, because with such low downforce, and just as I'm talking about it, that was a huge slide from Urbanovsky there. Yeah, with such low downforce, it really means that your driving style matters even more than usual. And I think maybe there might be 1 or 2 drivers caught out on the opening laps of the race with heavy fuel loads, with difficult braking circumstances and racing side by side. It should actually give us a lot of overtaking moves or side by side moves in Sector 2, maybe potentially in Sector 3. So this might be a bit of a spicy race after this, what is looking like a very spicy qualifying at the moment, with less than 0.2 of a second between our top 2.
Yeah, I mean, this track, it's a really great one. You get really great performance on a quali lap, and the racing, as you were saying, I mean, you've got such a long straight down towards turn 1, a double chicane, which is really great to set up some switchback moves, another straight running down towards the chicane of 4 and 5. I mean, it's a great track to give you some side-by-side action, and that middle sector, the one we're making our way through here now, through the S's, I mean, if you can get too wide through here, you could be on for some great moves. So yeah, gonna be a very exciting one. Urbanovsky making his way around, just looking, I think, down on his time right now.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way. Yeah, 1 second down. As you can see, I have managed to add the split timers back for qualifying. I don't think that was working last time out. A quirk with a set of Corsa somewhere there. Reinstalled, solved that, let's put it that way. But yeah, if you're on YouTube, let's see what you think will be the result of qualifying. Who do you think our top 3 is going to be as Urbanovsky comes into the pits? We've got Prodan looking like they're on a warm-up lap for the moment, so let's see if we can find a driver on the lap. But we always like to hear from chat, hear their opinion, as we've gotten to know the drivers quite well in terms of their driving style. So let's see your best predictions in chat at this point. Josh, what's your prediction? I may as well ask you in the same breath.
Well, I mean, as it stands, Buller seems to have the pace. I feel like we could be seeing another pole position from Di Giovanni. He seems to be pretty consistently right up there at the front. And I think this track's going to tend slightly more towards his driving style than Road Atlanta did. I mean, he did very well in Spa as well. So I think, yeah, it could be another opportunity for the Cadenza driver to put it up there at the front.
Yeah, well, there you go. Some bold predictions. I think you're quite on the money, to be fair, as whoa, the Marino goes all the way off the track there. I think, you know, with the low grip, you really want to be sticking to the track this time. We have Astro Chapman, as far as I can see by their username in chat, saying that they're delighted to be race engineer for their brother. Yeah, Lewis Chapman, of course. I was searching for their first name. We've only got the abbreviations there. But yes, of course, Lewis Chapman there, as you can see in P11. So yeah, that's a really good way to spend International Brothers Day. So yeah, that solidarity is what we like to see. And I'm sure that it will be an entertaining race. Hopefully less problematic than last time out in Road Atlanta for the Chapman boys, but we'll have to wait and see on that. As I'm noticing as well that there's quite a few drivers struggling at the moment. Wellman quite a bit down on what I'd predict their pace would be. So after winning last time out, I'd at least expect them to be in top 5. So maybe pre-race nerves or something into the mix at that point. We'll have to wait and see. But as we know, with 10 minutes left in qualifying, there's still more than enough time to probably do about 2 runs worth of, you know, tires, warming up the tires. There's another snap there from Marino. These cars are looking way out of sorts today, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking. Nobody's really improving right now. I mean, some drivers probably trying to get their tyres back into the window, but so many drivers just making small mistakes. The cars are performing so differently to how they have done throughout the season so far. So, I guess some of the drivers just not really getting up to speed as well. Molman, for example, as you said, a bit further down the order, probably going to be looking to find a bit more pace on these final few runs. But yeah, it is a little bit surprising to see such a big pace spread with some of the drivers who we saw were so close last time out.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I guess, that you'd rather have the race pace than the quali pace. That's always the case, I think. You know, points are won on Sunday, not in qualifying, even though we're running the race on Saturday. Anyway, we'll gloss over that fact. But yeah, a lot of people, I think, were just building themselves up, and I think are aiming more for consistency around this track than pure one-lap performance. Now, I will say to my co-commentator, Josh, if you want to keep an eye on timings, that's fine at the moment, because I am so scared of clicking anything on the computer that it might blow up at the moment. So yeah, the timings will be indeed interesting to check out as Marino starts another push lap, as it looks like quite a few drivers at the moment just on warm-ups. I've got the mini sectors at the moment, and it's looking like a wall of grey at the moment, which means no improvements. So we're still on board with Marino, who is at least putting in some green mini sectors for the moment.
Yeah, finding a little bit of time here, but gonna have to start pushing. We've got 8 minutes left to go in this qualifying session, so at some point you've got to start to put some times on the board, get yourself some pace and get yourself up the order. I mean, we have got a long race ahead of us, so of course, plenty of time to recover if you do have a slightly suboptimal qualifying session, but looking like a decent lap so far as we make our way in towards turn 7 and towards the S's.
Yeah, the S is really tricky in here, especially with the curbs, the raised curbs on the inside. They can just unsettle the car, and with most of the downforce of these cars coming from the underside, I don't want to call them Venturi tunnels because there's so many different configurations of aerodynamics on these cars, but the underfloor of the car is not flat, and so it means that you can generate so much downforce just from the car running low to the ground. So if you bump it over the curb, you're negating that contact patch with the ground and severely hampering your downforce. So we might see some drivers trying to avoid the curbs, although from what I've seen there's a lot of people being aggressive with the curbs, so we'll have to wait and see if that pans out during the race. As Marino crossed the line, I think improves a bit but doesn't improve on their time or their position, ironically, so that will be a little bit of an annoyance for them. Did Giovanni out on a lap, I think, perhaps? Let's have a look. Let's see if we can get any times up on the board. Certainly looks like they're taking the correct racing lines. Short line to the finish and they're about to start a lap. Perfect stuff. Let's stay on board with Di Giovanni for this lap.
6 minutes left to go now, so probably time to do this lap, get back to the pits, go for one final run, getting the tyres up to temperature and everything like that. So let's head down towards the first braking zone, get the car rotated in. Seems a little bit tentative as he gets through these first few corners. Onto the power now once again, building up the speed as we power down towards turn number 4. Looking like a better attempt than we've seen on the past few tries for Di Giovanni, but still I think lacking a little bit of confidence over the one lap pace. A small lock up there as he gets the car rotated into 4 through 5 now in a really tricky turn 6, coming up double apex as you get the car rotated in. Try and get the exit as you power your way down, losing the rear end there for Di Giovanni, and that is not looking too great as we make our way in towards the middle sector now.
That looks like the tyres are cooked after half a lap. It's incredible. Look at the sliding. It's going to go all the way around in a minute. My days, all the way offline. That's an aborted lap. Yeah, got to be. Surely. He's lost so much speed through the middle section of each corner, let's say, and out on another set of tyres. 5 minutes on the clock. It's starting to tick down at this point. And the only one that looks we'll change back. The only one that looks comfortable at the moment is Villefern. I have a knack of switching to drivers when they are doing stuff that I should, I'm commentating, they're doing the greatest, and then all of a sudden they're on the grass. So Villefern locking up, it seems, and going wide onto the grass there on the first turn of the lap. Typical commentator's curse right there. Thankfully they've got 5 minutes to make up for it, although at the moment they're quite happy sitting there doing laps, aren't they? They're in first place. It looks like everybody's trying to push the limits and is just pushing a little bit too hard at the moment, so it's advantage to them so far.
Yeah, it's quite surprising just seeing a wall of yellow sectors, really. Nobody's finding time right now. We'll see if Mitchberg can find anything here through the middle sector as he makes his way in towards turn number 13. I believe it is. Let's see. I didn't see it pop up there. But
it's
yeah,
not popping up anymore. Yeah.
Well, typical. But yeah, it doesn't look like this is going to be an improvement for the time being. 28.8 he currently sits on, needs to find a couple tens. Got 4 minutes left in the session, so there should be some time left for him to try and put something together. Maybe he wasn't actually on a lap there. We'll keep an eye on him, I think, for a little bit longer and see if he does find some improvements. I think Urbanowski just improved on his time, jumping himself up to P5, 29.0 for him. So yeah, finding a bit of time there for the Arden driver. Let's see if Mitchberg can find anything here.
Yeah, so I think I've just figured out how it works. For some reason, I think the sector timing only works if you start the lap with them. So let's stay on board at the moment, as we do have the timings now popping up there, as you can see in bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So it looked like a decent first sector, but a little bit down on their personal best. I think that is their personal best that it's showing. So very, very tricky to find any time whatsoever. I think it's literally just because the tires are scrubbing across the track. Because you've got less aerodynamic grip, your having to fight with the tires a lot more. And so in these long corners, you can see it, the amount of understeer and then oversteer that you get over the course of just one corner is horrendous. And so 0.3 of a second down at the moment. It's going to take a huge last sector to do anything about this, and they're sitting P3, so it's not a disaster whatsoever, but they want to be going for that pole position. Everybody wants that one because it's a badge of honor that you wear into the race, and it does make the first couple of laps that little bit easier if you can get a good start. So cross the line, well, 1.5 tenths gained, but seeing as they were down on their time, it's not enough at the moment.
Yeah, I think that was actually showing us the gap to leader, so he was surprisingly close to improving there. He only needs to find 6,000ths to get himself up to second place. So I think he was only about 0.04 of a second off Di Giovanni's time there. So yeah, it wasn't too bad of a lap. If he does have enough time there to get those tyres cooled back down to go for one final attempt, he is going to be getting ready. Morand coming in towards the stadium section, 0.4 off our leader, I believe that is. So looking roughly to match his time as it stands.
Yeah, that Arden really sliding through the corners there. A lot more oversteery than I've seen other cars. A lot of cars suffering from oversteer, but this one, sorry, understeer, but this one's got oversteer. And across the line, P4 at the moment. I think that was a slight improvement, at least for Miranda. So that's getting him closer, but again, just not enough to get the top 3 at the moment. So everybody on, I think, at this stage, their last 2 laps of qualifying, no matter what they do, they're going to run out of time otherwise. So yeah, very, very tricky situation as Di Giovanni goes for what might be their last lap of qualifying, neatly over the curbs, chopping a lot off of that, but a little hint of oversteer and snap on the exit that'll compromise them a little bit, all the way down to the next chicane and the next slow turns. He's up on the time though. Could this be the lap he needs?
Well, it's going to be crucial. He's got to get this one together and hope that Buller can't do something about this. Making his way through turn number 6 now, looking pretty decent for the Cadenza driver, getting onto the panel, riding over towards the curb on the right hand side, tuck it in towards turn 7, and now you're pushing the car to its limits through the lefts and rights of the S's here through the middle sector, trying to hook up the car, trying to find the grip, hunting left and right, get onto the panel once again, going very wide there as he heads onto the straight. And let's see now in towards the stadium section. Is he finding some time? He's lost about 1/10 of a second. Not looking too great. He's going to have to try and hunt for some time through this final sector now in towards this tight, tricky hairpin. Get the car rotated and get onto the power as quick as you can. Carry the throttle through in towards the Peraltada now. Final corner coming up onto the power. Cut it tight to the inside up towards the line. Is it going to be the time he needs across the line now? Doesn't find the improvement. Does he have time to go for a final attempt?
I think he has 10 seconds left, and that's looking like it might be their last attempt, and they've got traffic as well on this lap. Not great, and that's it. It's all over. Di Giovanni will not have pole, and Prodan's up to P2. Out of all of that, Prodan's just set another lap. I think that might be them over, although the checker flag has not been shown to them, I don't think. So they have improved, but so close yet so far, still 1.5 tenths down. So let's have a look. Buller might be on the lap. Buller is on the lap, but is it a competitive one? Does he have to worry? Really, he's been the class act of this qualifying so far, being at the top of the leaderboard for the majority of it, and they're going to peel into the pits and say that is my day done for the moment. Misberg not on a lap. Urbanov and Miranda in the pits. Marino on a lap, it looks like, but is that... I think they've crossed. Yes, they crossed the line after the qualifying had ended. So we've got Belazug on a lap. Let's see as well whether they can handle the very tricky flat out section here through the S's. They got to keep on throttle, as you said, Josh. You've got to just ride the throttle a little bit and hope that the car doesn't get out of shape, because if you lift off of that throttle, you can get some understeer, and that's exactly what you want the opposite of. You want the car sliding just a tiny bit, but not too much. Is it 0.8 of a second? second. It could still be an improvement. It could still be an improvement. He could gain maybe 2 positions here. And he's gone wide and it's all over. Just as I say that, a lock up into the stadium section. And that might be our last improvement of the session, as I do not see anybody else on the lap. Oh, Gebhardt on a lap here. Is it going to be goods? Ah, no, they're way down on their times. They're not even close to getting to the finish line at the moment. It's not going to be an improvement in the pits. I think it's safe to say that that is your qualifying grid right there, with Bühler on pole, ProtoH starting alongside.
Yeah, quite a surprise again to qualifying there. We were expecting the cars to grip up a bit more, but I think we probably only saw about 3 or 4 improvements in those final 15 minutes. So yeah, maybe the drivers are struggling to get up to the grip. Maybe the track temperature was increasing, reducing the grip that they had available to them. It's quite surprising to see, though. We're normally used to seeing those times really ticking down in the final few minutes.
Yeah, I'm as shocked as you are. That I really thought that the cars were just flying at some point, and then we started to notice, didn't we, that the tires were overheating, let's say. And the problem with that is that at some point you've got to cool them down or find a way to keep them cool. And I think a lot of drivers were struggling, pushing very hard in the opening parts of the lap and then falling off as soon as they reached the high-speed corners. That's a worry for the race, because if they're overheating over 1 lap, then what are they going to be after 5 laps? Say, what are they going to be like after 45 minutes of driving? Now, drivers will have, an opportunity to change tyres to get fuel at this race. There is a mandatory pit stop after all, but you've got to keep that car and tyres and driver indeed alive, and that's going to be so tricky to even do 5 laps. And go side by side as well, throw that into the mix. We've got a spectacular race coming up. I just thought I would say hi to a few people from YouTube, as I do have the chat up on my phone. Hello to Blood Dragooner, love the username by the way. Yeah, hello to VRC channel commentators, first time here. Well, we hope you enjoy your stay. Hello to Race Games Replays as well. I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, hello to Lucas in chat. You should be driving, Lucas. But, you know, Lucas, not having the best of qualifying, let's say. But I know that their race pace is a lot better than the qualifying pace. So hopefully they can take a little bit of solace in that. Also, perhaps they have a better strategy or driving for the race. So let's see, as we have the formation lap underway, as far as I can see. I'm just going to wait for the drivers to sort themselves out. A little bit of connection latency just as they get off of the grid, but they will have a full formation lap just to get their bearings. In fact, let's go back just to the standings just for a tiny bit to remind you that Bühler is at the moment at the front of the pack, quite literally in terms of the race, but also in terms of the standing, with Moelman and Di Giovanni looking to hunt him down, with Mazaraskis, it looks like, missing from today's race, with Sorani as well missing. So quite a few heavy hitters missing from this one, but I'm sure they will be hoping that people don't score too many points to keep them in the running for the last race of the championship at Watkins Glen. But before that, we have an entire race to do at Mexico City. What do you predict, Josh?
Well, I mean, as we've talked about, these tyres, they're going to be so tricky to manage. It's such a real limited circuit around here. They're really going to be struggling, trying to manage the temperatures. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough one to call. But I think from purely what we've seen through the past few races, I think Buller's really going to be able to hang on. He's had very few mistakes, I have to say, throughout the entire season. And if he can continue on like that, use that experience that he's been gaining in that tricky car as well, yeah, I think he could be on for a really great race here tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of drivers. Oh, wow. Giovanni nearly lost the car there on warm-up. My days, that was almost a very embarrassing move right there, as the drivers are weaving very, very aggressively. Obviously, they need to get heat in the tyres, but could it be actually that not having heat... nearly into the back there goes Misberg. This is not the, let's say, procedural start that you want. I think a lot of drivers are eager to get going. Let's see if everything pans out as it should as we get ready to get racing. As yeah, ProtoH just lining up alongside. So the cars will have to stick to a minimum speed here, but not speed up too fast. They will get time penalties. As you can see, the lights will go red. They have to stick to 80 kilometers per hour. As we're about to get underway, they'll get the red lights switching on to say signal ready to start, and then green lights for go. Let's get ready and build up the anticipation, as the light's taking quite a bit of time to come on at the moment. Let us see, when's it going to go? I think there we go. Oh, a few drivers looking to go for it, and go, go, go. Green flag racing. Here we go as everybody flies past the cameras. It looks like it's a very even start between Buller and ProtoH. ProtoH might actually get the advantage in here. Oh, Di Giovanni locking up as well. Oh, Misberg spins in just sympathy there, having to avoid everything. Misberg going nearly all the way around and losing position in the process. That's never what you want to see. Battling in the back with Baylor and Chapman as well, having a bit of contact there, I think. Just cars sorting themselves out, and with such low grip as well. Oh, lock up as well. Lock up for Urbanov. I think that was, yeah, heavy on the brakes. You don't want to be losing the tires there, as Zabuner looks to be really aggressive there, trying to get back past Di Giovanni. Meanwhile, ProtoH has just pulled out a gap in front there of at least 3 car lengths. So that is ideal for them at the start of this race.
Yeah, really great launch from ProtoH. Got the move done into turn 1. Buller, surprisingly, not getting off very well. So he's down 2 places. Urbanovsky right on the back of him as well. Could be under pressure very soon to potentially be dropping out of the podium contention for the time being. Molman looking maybe to make a move on Belazug as well, as they battle in towards the stadium section. We make our way through for the first time, and cars going wide. That is Molman. That battle for P9 coming to blows here as they fight it out. Going a bit wide, making their way through the hairpin now. Still they continue to battle, wheel banging between the pair of them as well, in towards the Peraltada. Now we go, and Molman having to give that position up, and could be under pressure in Chapman as well.
I'll quote another Spaniard: all the time you have to leave the space, and the space was sort of left outside of the track there, so there'll be a lot of recriminations on that one, I think, in the steward's office after the race, as it's looking like Molman maybe dipping to the inside, thinking, oh, getting tagged by the friends of Chapman behind a little bit, and that means they go deep. They're having to avoid by cutting the curb. Somebody locking up as well. I think Warren locking up there in the background car in 12th at the moment, as looks like Chapman got a rebats exit, so Marino's going to be side by side as well. What a race start here, as Marino's looking to take the position. Perhaps no, Chapman defends a little bit. Oh, on the inside goes Warren. Can they get it stopped? Incredible stuff. No, Warren has spun out. It has gone from hero to 0 right there, as they just go in way too deep and get tagged. Meanwhile, at the front, Di Giovanni looking to hunt down, as Buller looks to be struggling a little bit on those tires, under pressure, as the 2 cadenzas, once again, the cadenza at the start of the race looking like the car to be with, but will it last, as Buller looks to once again have a slow start to the race. Will they be able to carry on with that momentum that they had from last race? Who knows? The qualifying pace was definitely there, so maybe a few balance issues with the car, a different strategy perhaps with the fuel. We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like Urbanovsky is all the way behind and right up in the diffuser of that Peugeot.
Yeah, this could be a very exciting battle down towards turn 1. Long run down the start finish straight up. Urbanovsky tucked up right up in that slipstream and going to be gaining that little bit of extra straight line speed. Does he get close enough to try and move down towards the first corner? He's getting closer, but looks like he'll tuck in behind, heading in towards this first chicane. Maybe try and set up a really great exit out of these first few corners. Molman as well putting pressure on, but under pressure as well from Chapman. Could be looking to try and continue that battle in these next few laps. Up at the front, Urbanovsky dropping off the back of Buller a little bit. Looks like Di Giovanni closing in on ProtoH as well, so it looks like he's finally got his tyres started up, getting ready, and on the inside into turn 5. Misberg having a look for an overtake there just for a brief moment. Thought he could try and get the car off the inside, and talking about getting the car off the inside, Molman and Chapman, wheel-to-wheel contact made, and that's Chapman going round Molman, running wide through turn 5, and positions being lost there for Chapman. Not a great start for him.
Yeah, I'm sad to say that they just tried to put the power on too early. I appreciate the effort and I appreciate the confidence there. You love to see it, but just at that time it gets away from you and it can compromise you not only in track position but also in terms of strategy, and that's devastating for them as they had a very good start, being opportunistic, I'd say, in just trying to nab a few positions here and there. Look at the understeer in that Ferranza. That does not look like a happy car to drive at the moment. Misberg having a disastrous start, trying to, I think, just avoid all of the chaos that was happening at the moment. So yeah, very, very tricky. But yeah, the front Buller looks like they have regained some pace as they're starting to close back up on the two cadenzas. It's cadenza 1-2 at the moment. The yellow liveried cars with the, I want to say greyish, blackish livery on the back. That's how you can see the cadenzas. Oh, Buller's made a mistake there, gone over the curb, and that puts them really under pressure. Urbanovsky's going to go for it here. Yeah, Urbanovsky around the outside. They're going to they're going to have to be last of the late breakers into here. Who can get it stopped? It looks like Buller has got the inside line, but Urbanovsky really good on the brakes. The switch back though from Buller, can he get it up the inside? No, thinks better about it. It's a long race. You want to think about points as well in this championship. So Urbanovsky takes P3 and Buller is out of a podium standing at the moment, but mistakes happening here, there and everywhere at the moment, and as we are seeing the cars outside of their comfort windows at the moment, that Peugeot looks a little bit twitchy now on the rear end. Maybe, perhaps, do we see a different balance of performance here? Hang on a minute, Misberg and Miranda fighting in the background. That's something. I think maybe Misberg made a mistake there. Miranda's made one in sympathy there, just going wide and over the curb, locking up. So they resume positions as was. But the tricky situation of this track with the lower downforce catching drivers out right from the first few laps.
Well, it looked like for a moment that Buller had finally found his footing. He went fastest on that previous lap and then in towards the first corner, made that mistake. Could be looking to take that position back straight away though. Towards turn number 1 we go. Pulling over to the right hand side, tucks back in behind. Although a bit of a mistake there from Urbanovsky now. And the lock up as well for Buller. Both of them making mistakes under braking through the first few corners, costing themselves time to the two cadenzas up at the front of the field. And Buller having to settle back in once again, almost a second behind Urbanovsky now.
Yeah, you know, that was a huge lock-up by Giovanni, my days. A cloud of smoke all over the place. But yeah, it certainly looks like one of the places where you'd want to have a rear wing. For context, there's one car that does not have a rear wing. It would be the lowest downforce track of the calendar, as Wellman has got past Baylor. Yeah, Baylor has made a mistake here. Baylor going very, very slow. Going to be overtaken by Marino. A little bit of contact, being tagged there a little bit. And he's just going to retain position, although Marino's not happy about that. But I think we've had just a spin by themselves there. They only lost one position, but still very frustrating as they just try and get into a rhythm here. That's one thing that we're not seeing at all. Is any driver really in the rhythms? You've got the two cadenzas out in front that seem to be comfortable. Marino's going for it. Hello. Yes, an overtake. Here we go. Unconventional spots going for an overtake. Oh, contact. Yeah, definitely contact on the apex of that one. As here comes Chapman as well, looking to profit from the action here. Yeah, a little bit of overestimation of the grip, I think, by our drivers, and they're locking the brakes, especially the front brakes, so they've got to be a little bit careful when going for overtakes here, as we have another lap of racing resuming, and it looks like for the moment Baylor is safe, as Warren, it looks like, goes for an overtake there. Yeah, we just missed that. Warren going for an overtake on Crow, but Warren had spun recently, so that was just getting past, I'd say, different pace, a lot better pace from Warren at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Warren and Bennett's last time out were in the wars a little bit, so they'll be hoping to not have the same problems as last race. As look at this, we have an Urbanovsky train, not as good as a Trini train at the moment, but quite there at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's see. Buller has caught back up once again. He seems to be ebbing and flowing a little bit. He catches up, makes a mistake, drops back, catches up, makes a mistake, and drops back. Let's see, maybe this time around he can try and finally get the move together. Mitch Berg closing in as well, and here we go. Down in towards the stadium section. Looks like a mistake from Urbanovsky, and up the inside goes Buller. Does he get the car stopped? Not quite, running very, very wide. Could we see a double overtake? Mitch Berg looks to the outside, in towards the hairpin, and through he goes, up to third place. Double pass there made, and Buller Buller and Urbanowski still battling away. Urbanowski picks up the P4 position, holding onto that place, but what a move from Misberg. Saw that one coming, saw them going wide, and just tucked in, found his way through.
That move was main character syndrome right there. Just the parting of the waves for Misberg there after that mistake on lap 1. That was just a masterclass of waiting for others to mess up. And again, we saw into the stadium section, the brakes just not complying. Oh, Buller getting very out of sorts. I think just braking on the apex and locking up the rear brakes. I think what we're seeing as well is different battery usages. You've got a limited amount of power to play with, and you really don't want to be using the battery too much, and I think drivers are sitting behind, sort of regenning the battery, using the slipstream to make sure they don't use too much energy, and then when they feel like it in that third sector, they just go for on the boost, they go for the overtake, and it does mean that they arrive at that corner that 5 kilometers, maybe 10 kilometers per hour faster, and then they hit the brakes at their regular point. All of a sudden, that's too late, they're going off the course, and they sometimes run someone off in sympathy as well, as it looks like Buller's still struggling for turn-in with that car, so I'd say that the grip level's not looking good so far at all, as up in front, the caddies, or the cadenzas, I should probably call them for not interpreting a different name from that, are having the time of their life at the moment with no tyre issues, it seems. But Di Giovanni would be very much wanting the order to be the other way round at the moment, as I think we've got a battle. Yes, we have. Oh, just at a perfect time for us to switch, and Baylor goes wide, and that means Marino has the chance to go around the outside, get the switch back, but Marino just loses the car as well. Oh, the Baylor getting all sorts of out of shape. The tyres complaining in this one. Will they have a chance? It looks like they get some good exits, and Marino won't probably have a chance into the first turn. But Chapman is there, ready to pounce as well. It's like a copycat of other battles, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we're seeing pretty consistently. Drivers make mistakes, and then the slipstream down this start finish rate is so powerful. You close in, get ready. Side late on the brakes, that's way too late, and he goes straight on down to the first corner, just about avoiding the 2 other cars he was battling away with. Gonna have to make sure he rejoins back in behind, and that was very nearly a very big crash here.
I must admit, 10 out of 10 avoidance. If you know you've made a mistake, the one thing you want to do is avoid hitting any other drivers. They successfully avoided that as Bader puts up a smoke screen in defence. That's a novel tactic. I like that one. Let's see if it will pay off for them. But at the front as well, I'm just noticing Buller with a handful of curb right there is getting so close to the back of Urbanowski again, not going for the move on this lap. It's looking like actually the move into the stadium section is the preferred one for our drivers, as Urbanowski is all sorts of out of shape, not taking the best of lines and getting no traction whatsoever. Oh, cuts the nose off of Buller there. Buller won't be happy about that one, but then again, it wasn't really alongside, so let's see if they can get the drive. They've got the drive off the corner of the gap, only 3/10 of a second. Can they get the slipstream? Will they use the boost to go ahead? Will they pull to that right hand side, or will they dart left? It's looking like Urbanowski's not going to defend it, but can Buller? Yes, he's going late brakes. Can he get it stopped? Not a hint of a lockup, and he has got it stopped. Can Urbanowski get the switch back? There's not really any room on the outside. Buller gets the position and moves back up into P4, but he is in visual distance of the lead still, so it's push, push, push and pedal to the metal. Urbanowski's coming back though, not looking for a move, however, so the gap remains the same, and Buller shuts the door on that one, so hopefully Duisburg can either pull away, or we're going to have a serious battle within the next couple of laps at all. And as I just say that, Buller nearly loses it. I tell you what, Josh, I'm sensing too many commentators' curses in this race.
Yeah, I mean, the driver's really starting to struggle out there. Those tyres are going to be screaming to hell as they keep pushing on. A big lock up there, once again, being made there. And yeah, really, the drivers just seem to be struggling out there right now. I think that the different car dynamics that they're having to deal with, they weren't, I mean, they had time to practice, they knew it was coming, but they just aren't really adjusting as well as they maybe hoped. And Urbanowski losing some positions. I think something's happening up at the front of the field. Quite a few swaps of positions as we now make our way through the S's here. Chapman still trying to close in on Marino. But yeah, lots of battles happening up and down the field. 2 main packs really of battling cars. 3 battles, three cars in these battles as they make their way into the stadium section. Another big lockup, another car going wide as well. Round the outside there. Goes Marino, trying to find his way through, not quite having the grip there to get the car stopped and rotated, so he has to settle back in behind once again.
Yeah, I'm getting some comments in chat because the racing is so good. People asking, how do we join this series? Well, for a start, you could hit that subscribe button. Not because it's necessary to participate in the race, but because it's the right thing to do to get caught up on all of the action and all of the updates from the lovely people at Virtual Racing Cars, because they produce some great stuff, such as these enduro cars, as Savoya sadly has disconnected from the session. I think they were having quite a tough time in the race. But if you want to, all of the links are in the description below the video to the Discord, for example, and to other useful links like the website, where you can find all of the details on how to sign up or how to participate in future events. Also, while you're at it, hit the like button, because we're liking this racing as commentators, and I think that maybe the people viewing are getting their money's worth at the moment, let's put it that way.
Yeah, so many battles out here, and such close ones as well. Another disconnection. Nate Warren disconnecting. I mean, they were the two drivers running down at the back end of the field, but an unfortunate end to their race. We've just crossed the 1 hour mark left to go. But yeah, unfortunate for them, and here is the battle up at the front. Morand right on the back of Urbanovsky. After that battle, they had a few laps to go, really split this battle up into, well, Buller has managed to pull away effectively. The gaps up at the front spreading out a bit as well. Di Giovanni dropped back from Podhan in towards turn one we go. Morand late on the brakes to the inside, bit of a lock up there, couldn't quite get the car stopped. Had to bail out of the overtake there. Urbanovsky very lucky to still be pointing in the right direction as we power down towards turn four once again. 4/10 is the gap just on the edge of 3/10 as we make our way towards the next braking zone this time around. I think going to be a bit more calmer, tuck in behind and wait for the next opportunity.
Sorry to give you sound effects there into turn one, but I was convinced that we were about to see a really big crash. I have no idea how they avoided it, but to see a driver panicking like that is never what you want to see. You know that they're on their last meters of reserve of braking distance at that stage. But yeah, in the same car here in the Arden, they're going to struggle to find an advantage car-wise, so it's going to be coming down to the driver. Must admit, Urbanovsky's fallen off the pace. Maybe the tyres really going off to a certain extent. So we'll see different car strategies play out here as Buller. Although we said Buller had a lot of pace, it looks like they haven't managed to catch up to the back of Misberg at the moment, as that Franza's going strong. We had Urbanovsky off the track once again, struggling to find any performance in the brakes at the moment. Still under pressure by their teammate Morand, as hopefully they can get a good line. Yeah, good traction for both of them, so this should be very close into the braking zone. Get that slipstream, hopefully just tuck in behind, go really deep into your seat to get the aerodynamic advantage. It doesn't change anything in these closed cockpit cars, but it always has the psychological advantage, as Morand does not go for the daring overtake at the moment. I think at this stage they might have to pressure them into a mistake, although that's a really great exit. Can they do anything about it? There's still about a car length in it, but this is close enough. This is enough for a dive if you're confident. You go to the inside, not for the moment. No, it still remains, but they are certainly looking more confident than Urbanovsky ahead, as in the background as well. Chapman going for the move. Yeah, Chapman's going for it. This time he's got it stopped. All contact with the teammate, but both of them keeping on the road. I think Marino just trying to turn in there as well. They had a little bit more space on the outside, but Chapman was deep as well. 50-50, I'd say, but I'll leave that up to you in the comments. Tell me who you think was at fault there, as yeah, Chapman has got through a daring move, it must be said, and they are looking to get a move on Baylor as well in the next couple of laps. So yeah, this one is heating up, and definitely the Ferranza's heating up there at this point in terms of inter-team rivalry.
Yeah, I'm looking at the timing tables as well. Molman's starting to catch up to the back of Belazug as well. Looks like Belazug might have made a couple mistakes on these past few laps, and that gap has started to close. And talking about closing gaps, here we go. Down towards turn one. Once again, Morand is so much closer, deploying that electrical energy. He pulls it alongside and putting himself ahead as well. Down towards turn one we go. Urbanovsky tucking back into the slipstream. Can he try and challenge back once again towards the first braking zone? Getting close there to the inside. He goes. Can he get the car stopped and rotated in wheel to wheel between 5th and 6th place? Urbanovsky just about holding it, but losing the rear on the exit. Continuing on down towards turn 4 and 5. Urbanowski with the inside line. Does he have the grip, the performance to get the car stopped, to hold on to this position, trying to go late on the brakes? Moran sticks it around the outside, switches to the inside for turn 5. And now in towards turn 6, Urbanowski just about pulling himself ahead.
Oh, you've got to give them credit. That was wonderful racing, giving it themselves enough respect, enough room, but keeping it close to the point where one of them had to back out. And Urbanowski, a masterclass in defence. I thought Miranda had that one sealed into turn 1, but there you go. That is masterclass stuff, and what you love to see, just on the limit. And I must admit, no mistakes from either of them, just very, very hard racing. And I think Miranda's made a mistake, big mistake there, big lockup. You saw the rear of the car just sliding on entry, and I thought they were just going to get a kick of oversteer, but that is way too late on the brakes. I think they were expecting to go for a late lunge and then realised that they were just stopping way too late. And look at the tyres, they are just lighting up every single time, as I think Urbanowski is quite happy to pull away for the moment, as Miranda's lost the best car, part of, I think, at least 15 car lengths in that one, as at the front the gap continues to be stable for the moment, as we haven't seen much of the leading duo of Prodan and Di Giovanni, but they are just putting in the laps. They are doing what they need to do at the moment, and it certainly looks like they're keeping the tyres in the best shape possible. So yeah, it's looking like the Cadenza is holding up in terms of race pace. For the first 2 races, the Cadenza has been really inconsistent and really tricky to drive, but now it looks like it's in an element of its own, maybe just the balance, maybe just the stability of tyre temperature or tyre wear. But I want to remind everybody there is a mandatory pit stop, so even if they're struggling on the tyres, they can get in, change a set of tyres. That pit window is open from 45 minutes to go to 30 minutes to go. If they have not completed their pit stop within that time, then they will be disqualified from the race. So it's very cutthroat. We saw that in Road Atlanta, as Prodan nearly throwing away the lead of the race there, getting very confident, it must be said. But yeah, they really don't want to be doing more of that than they can, as we've got a battle between Baylor and Marino here, as looks like maybe Chapman's made a mistake there. Chapman's behind once again, and Marino is in front of the pair, so something has gone on here that we have not witnessed. But yeah, drama in the mid-pack for that top 10.
I think as we're starting to close in on these pit stops, lots of drivers starting to struggle. I expect we're going to be seeing quite a few tyre changes very, very soon. Prodan has been pulling away from Di Giovanni because there's been a couple mistakes for the second Cadenza driver. Mitchberg only 1.5 seconds off the back now as we make our way into the stadium here with Baylor, Marino and Chapman all making their way through. A mistake though there for Baylor, and he's going to have to bail out to the escape road, cut the corner, comes out exactly where he was before, but a big mistake off into the wall, hitting the wall on the outside of the Perotada, and that has cost him the position to Chapman.
Oh, terrible, yeah, just getting a snap of oversteer like Bottas in, I think it was 2020 or 2021, just really just losing the car on the marbles on the outside, and then once you hit the wall, the car gets sucked into the wall, and then you can either get damage or just lose confidence or lose the tyres, as it looks like Baylor is falling off the back of the two Ferranzas, struggling to find any grip to remain on track at the moment. But the battle between Marino and Chapman is not done at the moment, because as we saw a couple of laps earlier, they had contact, they had a crash, and so the tensions will be a little bit high between those two teammates there in the red Ferranzas, as you can see, and it's looking like they're closing in. Chapman definitely has the pace, but not the consistency at the moment. The race engineer, who's also watching our broadcast, will be looking on in I wouldn't say in frustration, but anticipation, let's say, and hopefully they can get the move done once again. It's looking like this will be the battle to watch for the moment, as Misberg is actually closing up to Di Giovanni as well, as no mistakes or moves made. Oh, no, as I say that, into the barrier goes Baylor, just locked up completely, no performance left, and it looks like they've got going again, but that's a disaster of a lap for Baylor, must be said, as Marino has lost all type of pace whatsoever. Could we see a pit stop? No, they've decided to keep going, but this has put them under perilous pressure here for the main straight.
Yeah, here we go once again. Baylor right onto the back of these cars. I'm surprised he caught up so quickly as we run down towards turn number 1, gaining on the back of both of these drivers. Marino, I think, making a bit of a mistake just a brief moment ago as well. In towards the first corner, up the inside. Chapman going for the dive, makes a mistake though, loses the car, and contact made as they make their way through the corner. Crucial mistake for Chapman as he tried to get onto the power there. Baylor running wide once again after turn 3. Marino still continuing on leading this battle.
How disheartening for Chapman. I can't believe it. He had half of the job done and then it just all went wrong. Oh, no way. Baylor to the inside. And it does not work out because Marino just shuts the door and says, you what? You're not going to get away with that. I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. And so just slams the door shut and Baylor has to attempt on another time and then gets a huge squiggle of oversteer right there. You know, liberal with the track limits, but we understand, you know, they're pushing the limits, to the limits of their abilities and to the car's abilities, and they're just all over the place at the moment. As we have at the front, I'm just noticing, as I'm just going to stay on board to make sure that nobody has a silly move. Oh, Baylor's gone wide again for the first time, and up the inside goes Chapman. No way. Oh, Baylor breaks in panic and nearly gets it all sideways swapped around, again going sideways in the 3rd corner in a row. They're all out of shape and contact with the barrier nearly, and up the inside goes Chapman. It's going to be a side-by-side drag race. Hold your horses for the moment. We're going to stay on board for this one because this is very spicy. Baylor goes very aggressively to the inside, stating their intention. They are there. They will not let them outbrake themselves, but who's going to brake latest? They brake at the same time. Baylor trail braking a little bit, but has got it locked up and has managed to keep it on course. Chapman with the switch back. Can they get it all the way around the outside? Not quite. Baylor masterclass in defense at the moment, and they managed to get good traction out to the corner. Chapman has one last opportunity down into the first sort of stadium complex here, locking up. Both of them have locked up, and Baylor has gone wide across the grass. Chapman is going to have to attempt another overtake, and Baylor needs to give up a little bit of time there. Just straight lined across the chicane. Good way to defend, but not necessarily most sportsman like, well, it's academic now, as off the road he goes and into the barrier for the 2nd time today, or 3rd time I should say. Actually made contact at the last corner as well, and under pressure now from Bennett. Out of nowhere, Bennett looking to profit. The tyres are gone. Baylor needs to consider pitting, but it's too early to pit. He needs to wait another lap. This is disastrous, and Bennett, the teammate, flashing a light saying, get out of the way, you're clearly losing pace and losing performance. And another lockup from Baylor as it goes from bad to worse at the moment, and he's hindering his teammate as well.
Yes, it's really not great stuff for Bennett here. Still sliding for Baylor. We continue on. Still got to wait 45 seconds till the pit lane is open for the mandatory pit stop, so he has to continue on for another lap. But you can see how much he's struggling up at the front. I don't think the leaders are going to be able to make their pit stops either. I think they're going to just meet the pit lane a little bit too early. But Mitchberg has been slowly but surely catching to the back of Di Giovanni, who's also actually been catching ProtoH as well on these past few laps, slowly but surely eking some time out. I think a couple mistakes potentially for the leading cadenza driver as we now start to close in. Yeah, 20 seconds left till the pit lane opens, so no chance for these drivers to make their pit stops just yet. I think Marino will be the first driver to come around to an open pit lane, potentially maybe 1 or 2 other drivers as well. But here we go down towards turn 1, the gap 0.8 of a second now. The battle for 2nd place continuing on in towards the braking zone, slowly starting to close in, reeling in. Antonio Di Giovanni not close enough just yet, and once again Bennett and Baylor close together on the track in towards the S as we go.
Yeah, I love to listen to the sounds of the engines on this onboard. Obviously one of my favourite sounds of all time, these sort of endurance prototypes. They just have that raspy sound, but also the power and the technology to go with it. Pit lane is open, you can see at the top there, has been for 30 seconds now, so if you pit now, your mandatory pit stop will be completed. You have until 30 minutes remaining, but if you're in the pits with 30 minutes remaining, you will still be disqualified if you haven't done that mandatory stop. As yeah, it's looking like Bennett and Baylor struggling. Baylor into the pits, I think. Yeah, Baylor dives into the pits. We have our first official pit stop. Here we go.
Yeah, powering his way down, got to get that car stopped in and then refuel, probably a change of tyres as well, given how that car was looking. He'll be sent back out on his way and hopefully looking for a better stint here for the second half of the race. Mitchberg still closing in, but Prodhan's, surely he's made a mistake. The gap's now down to 1.8 seconds. Or Antonio Di Giovanni's found some amazing pace. I think Prodhan has made a mistake, lost a couple seconds on these previous few laps, and we could be seeing a battle for the lead very, very soon.
Yeah, battle for the lead, which you yourselves could be included in if you want to head to the links in the description to check out the amazing stuff that VRC put into their website and indeed onto the track on Assetto Corsa and other games indeed. It's incredible to see the level of detail, the sound. I can never get over the sound of these cars. I'm going to say it once again because they are just so amazing and make me feel as if I'm watching a broadcast a certain French track in the middle of June. It's incredible stuff, and I just want to give a massive shout out to them for doing such a quality job. And yeah, if you want to support them, as I've said before on this broadcast, hit that subscribe button. They do appreciate it, they do love to see it, and it does bolster the morale. As did Giovanni make a mistake there, and that probably means that Mitchberg is putting them under pressure for the moment. It's looking like, yeah, the brakes fading and fading fast. It looks like they might need our support in terms of just getting to the end of this race, so a lot of people to support here. And looks like Di Giovanni actually is all over the shop at this one, as the Faranza is looking much better to drive. You can see the tyres smoking as they try to put the traction down, maybe using a bit of battery just to create a safe gap. But the gap's closing up. We got Chapman and Marino, as well as we have Bühler in the pits as well. Bühler into the pits, so taking the early option out of those tyres, which have not been good since the start of the race.
Well, could be looking for a bit of an undercut potentially. Pit earlier, get the better grip and use those tyres to try and gain an advantage over your rivals. If the tyres really are dropping off as hard as we have seen, that could be a really great opportunity for him to try and close the gap to our leading three drivers. Mitchberg getting closer and closer to Di Giovanni. In towards turn 6 we go now. The gap coming down to about half a second here, maybe dropping slightly under at brief points in the lap. Prodhan still about 2 seconds up the road, seems to have got his car back under control, and once again the battle for P9. Marino and Chapman once again out there on the track, but I think we've got a pit stop there for Marino coming in now for his mandatory pit stop. 11 minutes left on the clock for the drivers to make their pit stops now.
Yeah, Miranda's still stuck behind Urbanovsky. It's looking like those two have managed to find some consistent pace, but that does mean that there will be no overtakes for the moment, although it's ever so close, as you've got Mitchberg as well close. I think this might be into the last couple of corners. We're going to have to take a chance on who's going to get an overtake done. It looks like I think Miranda might be the best placed here, as Urbanovsky has had so many troubles in this last sector. Let's have a look before the top three gets to the first turn. So no overtakes happening there, but is Di Giovanni safe? Yes, for the moment. Miranda didn't get the best exit. I'd say the Faranza's struggling for traction on corner exit at the moment, or maybe even just battery deployment. But yeah, the Cadenza's struggling in terms of understeer, it looks like. So Prodhan's got the move on at the moment. 2.5 seconds now the gap, so Di Giovanni's losing a little bit of time, and that's stellar race pace that they showed in the first race. Oh, Mitchberg with a mistake there, just locking up a little bit and having to take avoiding action, I think. So they've lost 2 or 3 car lengths. That could give a little bit of reprieve to Di Giovanni, but look, Prodhan lost another 0.2 of a second there and stuck behind the back marker briefly, so that could really unsettle them into the fastest corners. And it looks like back marker crowd getting out of the way, I think. You know, good on them for not hindering the front pack. You know, it's not regulation. They don't necessarily have to get out of the way. They just have to not hinder too much. But yeah, very honourable of them. And the pack continues as normal for the moment, as Miranda still staring at the back of their teammate, trying to force a mistake. And I think Urbanovsky's gone wide. Yes, Urbanovsky wide a little bit. Managed to maintain it on track just using the curb there. But that's another mistake in the plethora of mistakes on the list at this point that I'm making of them, as I think Urbanovsky into the pits. Yes, Urbanovsky's decided those tires are done and dusted, and now for Miranda it's hammer time. They have to put the pace in, they have to try and get the overcut to make sure that they are not stuck behind their teammate.
Yeah, well, of course, they're probably going to be running a lighter fuel load for these final few laps when they can try and make that overcut work. So that will be an advantage. But what is better, low fuel or new tyres? That is going to be the big question. Di Giovanni still just about holding that gap to Protoh and Mitchberg around the same as it has been for the past few laps. Although I think Protoh making a small mistake there coming out of turn 6. The gap now down to about 2 seconds as they make their way through the S's, still closing in, still getting closer and closer lap after lap, but Mitchberg closing in once again after that mistake as well. Not going to be too much longer before he starts to think about another overtake.
It's looking like, for the moment, not on this lap though, but for the moment, Protoh has been the fastest in the third sector. That's really where he's made the gap and made the difference. So will it be the same this lap? The gap was about 2.5 seconds, so down 3/10 at the moment, but these last 2 turns have been really where the difference has been made. The gap 2.2 it looks like at the moment, so time has been lost this lap. But is that just down to taking it a little bit cautiously? You have to make the tyres last, well, 7 minutes to go on the pit stops. You don't want to be doing too many laps before you could dive into the pits. Then again, do you want that tyre offset? I think everybody, as Baylor disconnects from the session. Disaster for Baylor. I think they were a little bit frustrated with the mistakes at this stage, but that will be a relief for Chapman and for Marino as well, as that's one driver that they won't have to race in close proximity, as yeah, the gaps are continuing to extend at the moment. I think the drivers are either pitting or just settling into their pace, waiting for a pit stop. And what we'll see in 5 minutes time is a concertina effect. Everybody has to do their stops, and then we're right back into the action, because the pace gained will be probably minimal and the gaps will be closing if somebody has a pace advantage. As that cadenza looks like it's all over the shop for Di Giovanni at the moment, but it's not looking better for Protoh, as I saw him have a huge kick of oversteer through that same turn.
Yeah, I mean, as we get closer and closer to the pit stops, I mean, we saw a couple drivers getting disqualified last week. We didn't expect it, and we said surely nobody will mistake there. I think for Di Giovanni was that. Looked like he had a bit of a lock-up, and Mitchberg was getting closer. The gap has come down a little bit, now down to about half a second. The gap between Protoh and Di Giovanni, now 3 seconds, and peeling into the pit lane comes Di Giovanni. He's called it quits now, decides now is the time to put those new tyres on, going for a bit of an undercut compared to his rivals. Let's see how that works out for him.
Yeah, it's bold move when you've got track position. Normally you want to force the other driver to pit earlier to be on a less optimal strategy. However, it can be the fuel. If you've only fueled your car for a set amount of laps, then you're kind of locked into the strategy, and I'd say that's probably disappointing for Di Giovanni, because that means that overall they've had a little bit less pace over the first stint. So not the stellar pace that we saw in race 1 and race 2, but yeah, good enough for a top 3 I think at the moment, unless Buda has that stellar second stint that we're used to witnessing every single time. As it looks like Miranda is in the pits as well, as Giovanni just about to get to pit exit. But can Urbanovsky actually profit from this and get back out in front? We might want to travel on board to see what the gap is, as Giovanni, I think, just coming out to the pit lane there. No, Urbanovsky, I think, ahead of Giovanni, so that is disastrous right there for Giovanni. I can't.
Yeah, that's Belazuk. It's a massive undercut. Giovanni is only just coming up towards the pit limiter line now. There's a massive gap here between Urbanovsky and Di Giovanni. He comes out onto the track once again now, but making his way down towards turn number 4 is Urbanovsky. That undercut has worked a treat for him, but let's keep an eye on the undercut as well, I guess, for Di Giovanni, because maybe he can try and get up close with the race leaders as well. Urbanovsky right on the back of Belazuk, looking to try and make a move here as well in towards turn 6, taking a slightly wider line, tuck it in tight for the second apex, and now getting onto the power towards turn 7, looking to the outside. Can he try and sweep his way through? Belazuk having to back out of that one, didn't quite have the grip to stick it around there. Urbanovsky now up to 5th.
As both of our leaders are in the pits as well now, so Wellman will take the lead of the race. Wellman leaving it very, very late to make a pit stop, so they've obviously fueled to go long at this point. And I think this is exactly what happened last time as well. We had 2 drivers stay out, and Wellman was one of the last to pit, if I remember correctly, and really gave them an advantage toward the end of the race. But then again, they had stellar race pace the entire time. It looks like that car has just not suited the track today. I think that's literally all it is. And look at this. Hang on a minute. Hang on. I've just noticed something. Buller up to P3. So Buller, after that very early pit stop, has managed to gain track position as well. Provisionally a podium at the moment. In fact, provisionally 2nd place. But can they keep it? Can they keep their tyres in the operating window? As I have not expected the tyre wear to play such a big role, but it is indeed being the one key factor in this race.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how the drivers tackle this strategy, really. The tyres have been so crucial, and yeah, it's going to be a tricky one now towards the end, especially someone like Urbanovsky, who went so early with his pit stop. How he's going to fare in those final few laps, getting chased down by Belazuk, Di Giovanni, drivers behind him, looking to gain an advantage. Keeping an eye on Molman as well. Is he going to come into the pit lane this lap? He's probably going to have to consider the pit stop, but I think he's actually stayed out once again. So 2 minutes 45 left to go, 1 minute 30 lap times. He'll just about have enough time to get in on the final lap, but he's leaving it very close for that final pit stop.
Yeah, this is tense times, and I must admit the pace is looking good. You want to stay out. If you've got the fuel, you want to stay out, but then again, you've got to leave it so that you don't run into the issue of being still in the pit lane. If you have not completed the pit stop, if you're not out on track, it will disqualify you, as we found out in Road Atlanta. So yeah, you're cutting it very fine right now, and I think this is sort of playing with fire, as they will round. I think they'll have about a minute left, but that is just enough to complete a pit stop and get back out on track, I think. But you're really sort of, if you spin now, you're in trouble, and I think they're really taking it very tentatively through these corners just to make sure that they get back to the pits, which is ironic because Mohammed is one of the I wouldn't like to say organisers, but definitely involved with VRC, so you'd expect them to be on top of the rules, you know, not playing so much with fire. But I love to see it, as they say. You know, they've written the rule book. They want to make sure that they use all of the rule book, and I'm here to see it. They do dive into the pits, yes. Smart stuff. They're going to have 1 minute 20. I think it should be safe. So actually, I'll give them credit. They know exactly what they're doing, in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see, as ProtoH will take the lead of the race once again.
Yeah, so ProtoH through up to P1. Buller will come out through into 2nd, where he's finished every race of the season so far. P2 at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. P2 at Road Atlanta. Could it be P2 here at the Autodrome? Hermanos Rodriguez as well, as we power down in towards turn 1. Mitchberg a couple seconds back. Going to be looking to try and close in and snatch that P2 position back. Antonio Di Giovanni currently running down in P8. I assume he had to take some extra fuel in on his pit stop. I assume that's the only reason why he would have lost so much time, but he is a long way down the field right now.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's gone on there, but a bizarre one. Maybe some damage that needed some tending to. I'm not quite sure, as Misberg is all over the shop already with these tires, so I'm not exactly sure whether this might be the perfect strategy of pitting earlier than the rest, although Misberg actually pitted after Buller, so it should be Buller struggling, and yeah, Buller's pulling away at the moment. Look at that understeer, just not being able to keep it on the track, and it's all getting away from him at the moment. The gap 2.2 seconds, and that is it. The pit window is closed. If you are out on track and you haven't pitted, you're in for a disaster now, as there's no way back. But it looks like all of our drivers, and Di Giovanni's out. Giovanni is out of the session, disconnected obviously some sort of problem right there, and that is not what we want to see. We hope to get an update from them, but catastrophic in terms of the championship standings.
Really unfortunate. I'm just looking. Might have been some issues with the pit stops potentially not working out for them. I'm not too sure what's gone on, but yeah, really unfortunate. Looks like maybe a bit of a pit stop issue for one or two drivers here tonight.
Yeah, sadly so. If that is the case, it's, you know, pit stop errors happen in real life, and it can be just that something goes wrong, and it would be sad to see a driver knocked out of the race like that, but obviously we'll wait for a word. Normally a driver's pop into the chat and give a quick word on what happened, but yeah, puzzling right there as they were right in the battle for the lead. Disaster for Cadenza once again strikes mid-race, and they've only got one car in the running at the moment, who's actually getting hunted down a little bit by Buller. The gap was 3.4, now 3.2.
Last lap around, ProtoH a couple tenths faster, but Buller seems to be closing that gap slowly but surely, trying to find a bit of pace here, there and everywhere. Trying to find the pace, and a bit of a lock up there from Buller, going wide as he heads into the stadium. That's not going to help him on his chances to chase down for the race lead, and Mitchberg getting that a little bit closer after that small lock up. The gap now down to 1.7 seconds as they make their way through the Peraltada on towards the start finish straight. Slowly but surely the Forenzo closing in on the Piaggio ahead.
Yeah, indeed, and traffic as well to deal with, which is not going to help their cause. I think it's, yeah, Gebhardt. So Gebhardt's just caught in the middle at the moment. A bit of an anonymous race. They've had a little bit of a disaster in terms of driving. I think quite a few spins, so not exactly gone the way they wanted, and as Krau officially overtakes Di Giovanni, who is out of this race. So yeah, again, a Franzo struggling. I must admit that Franzo looks like it's the trickiest car to drive. What do you think? What, in terms of your interpretation, which car do you think has been the trickiest? I think in this track with such low downforce, they've all had their little quirks, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, from what we've heard from the drivers, I mean, Buller's Piaggio, you would expect is probably the hardest to drive, but he's been doing such a sensational job with that, holding on to it. But yeah, the Forenzos don't seem to be performing particularly well. Moment a bit of a lock up there, I think, through turn number 4. Just making a small mistake, continues on his way though, and only a couple seconds off the back of Bella, so he could be looking to get himself up into that top 6.
Yeah, for sure, and it's always the thing, obviously. Last time out, winning the race and defending like a champion from Buller, but this race, the performance hasn't been there. I think that might be something to do with the car, but they also did mention earlier that they only had 25 laps practice, so when you consider that drivers put in a lot of time, and I did see them yesterday and today putting a lot of laps in the practice server, you know, it's one of those things that if you don't have time to prepare, then it happens, and I think they've driven a consistent race from what it looks like. It's just that the maximum pace hasn't been there. It hampered them in qualifying and then put them slightly behind during the race, just having to navigate traffic and people that might be less experienced. They're closing into Belazug, but it looks like it's going to be another couple of laps as Buller closing in once again on the leader there just at the front of the camera. So yeah, it looks like Misberg might have made a mistake there, or just got caught up overtaking traffic, and it's certainly looking like the battle for the lead is still very much alive with 25 minutes remaining.
Yeah, one more car of traffic, really. They have to navigate, it seems, to the end of this race. They've got one car coming through the Peraltada now, and then the next car after that is all the way at turn 6, a couple kilometers away. So it looks like maybe just one more car of lap traffic, assuming everything goes their way, and should be a relatively straightforward run to the flag. Lap car seems to have been Buller's weakness, I'd say, throughout this the first few races. So that side for him probably going to be quite a promising one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really blame Buller. The lapped cars have a tendency to jump out in front of him somehow. So yeah, it's 2 races, 2 times. Third time may be lucky, as once again he's in P2, chasing down P1. You know, this is like the script book open up once again to the same page, and it's looking like Buller might be in contention, as the gap is so close to going down under 2 seconds. As a little bit of a lock-up from Podan there. Is that just a little bit of nerves settling in? The gap is officially now down below 2 seconds briefly, and it's looking like all of that pressure they're soaking up is finally getting to them a little bit, and you do not want that going into the 3rd sector where you need supreme confidence. And look at that Peugeot. It looks like it's finally, for the first time in this race, sitting square on the track and handling like it should.
Yeah, that confidence you need to find, getting yourself into the flow, into the rhythm. As soon as you do that, you will be absolutely flying along. That gap is slowly but surely tumbling down 10th by 10th. He closes the margin, finding last time around 0.3 of a second. I think it's going to be a pretty similar gap, although not a great run there through the stadium section. Might have lost himself a bit of that margin. We'll keep an eye on the lap times as they come across the line. ProtoH at 29.7. Buller sets a 29.5, so another 0.2 of a second found for the Peugeot driver.
Yeah, it's not looking like many people can close the gaps at the moment, because Wellman, who pitted last of anybody, I think, has not really made any inroads on Belazug. They've just got stuck about 3 seconds behind. Oh, look up there from Isberg in the background. Another couple of tenths lost as Buller once again gets the gap briefly below 2 seconds at the front here. We do have Gebhard versus Krau at the back of the pack. Let's switch to this for the moment, as we could see an overtake here. If we are lucky, Gebhard looking to get themselves out of last position, darts to the inside, thinks about it, looks to put the pressure on, but nowhere to be found, braking quite conservatively, it must be said. And I think these drivers just trying to keep out of the chaos, trying to keep out of the mess, as not only do they have to worry about getting overtaken, but they have to worry about keeping track position as well. As out of the way goes Gebhard, so breaking up that battle for the moment.
Battle for the wooden spoon. Gebhard currently sitting down in P12, which I believe is still a points paying position, so not a terrible result, all things considered. Molman in P7, the gap to Belazug 2.2 seconds as he continues to try and close in on the Arden car ahead of him. Slowly but surely finding the time. I mean, looking at the previous laps, it was quite a big time gain actually for Molman. Half a second found. Looks like both these drivers struggling a bit with their cars as they continue to press on. 22 minutes left to go here tonight. Up at the front, the gap continues to close as well. 1.7 seconds between Buller and Protan as they make their way through, and Krau and Gebhard battling once again. Gebhard managed to find his way through. Krau only a couple tenths behind though as they power down towards turn 1.
This is going to be really entertaining. 2 teammates battling side by side. It looks like Krau is going to get the last and late braking locked up though, so can't make the corner. Pushes both of them off the track. Gebhard is forced to take to the grass to straight line the corner. Will retain the position, I think, just arguing that he was forced off of the track, which he certainly was. And Krau will be left thinking, how did the brakes not perform there? How could I have done that differently to get into the corner better? And for the moment, the wooden spoon going to Krau, but at the front, look at this, the gap closing ever so much. You can see in visual distance now that that is only 1.5 seconds, and once again I think Prodan struggling in this last sector with the gap down to 1.3. Oh, Buller, little lock up there, twitching off the rear. And that just means that they are so close to the limit that they are using all of the tire performance. Will they have anything left at the race now? At the end of the race, sorry. That is the question. With 20 minutes remaining, I will take also the opportunity to once again say, if you're liking what you see, hit that like button. Click the subscribe button if you feel like you want to see more of the content. More importantly, check the link in the description to not only gain access to the cars via the website, but also gain access to stuff like the Discord and anywhere to follow all of the glorious VRC team on social media. Yeah, so just quickly looking once again, Bullock closes in, but interestingly, Midsberg
was the fastest of the 3 drivers. If these two start battling up at the front for the race victory, this could very quickly become a 3-horse race for that final P1 position and the 50 points to go with it in the championship as well. ProtoH currently leads 1.5 seconds as they make their way through the middle sector now, but that gap could be coming down very, very soon. Very much too soon to be within attacking distance as well. And look at the gap, Mitchberg as well, just gained 0.4 of a second through the S's there. He is really starting to fly along. He is finding big chunks of time here on these laps. 1.5 seconds, the gap staying pretty consistent with Buller. Mitchberg going a little bit wide there as he heads into the stadium and losing that advantage he built up. ProtoH seems really consistent through the stadium to find a bit of time through the peril tard, and now the gap 1.5 seconds just flickering there, 1.4 seconds as well. That gap coming down. We're under 20 minutes left to go here in this race, and this battle really starting to close up, really starting to heat up.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds, Buller only. You can see there they might try and play some energy games now. Can they get the regen? Can they make sure to get more energy left than the people in front? Oh, ProtoH with the mistake. ProtoH's off, all the way off, and I think I've just locked up there. Didn't really notice from the onboard camera, but we just came to a cadenza. I've said it. A cadenza all the way across the racetrack, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened. Probably just locking the rear brakes and spinning, but the pressure getting to ProtoH, and Buller takes the lead of the race. The pressure is now on the other foot. They'll have to just hope that they can just pull away with it, to be honest, because Buller pitted slightly earlier than everyone else, so there's that question mark over the tires, although with ProtoH making a mistake, maybe the question is on the other foot as well, as Mitchberg looking very spicy as well, just behind the gap, 0.9 seconds, but the gap, ironically, still 1.5 seconds, I'll get the numbers right in a minute, to the top 2, basically.
And here we go. The gap has closed between our top 3 with that mistake for ProtoH, but the gap between first and second still around that 1.5 second margin, as it has been for a long time. But this time around, it's Buller who leads, and a good few seconds lost for ProtoH on that previous lap, as we have seen. Down towards turn 1, Mitchberg now has a car right in his sights, can start to look to try and push, try and close in, and maybe look for that second place position. Through the first few corners we go. A better run this time around for the cadenza driver. Getting onto the power, Mitchberg getting closer and closer corner by corner, although I think he's had a bit of a mistake coming out of turn 3 there.
Yeah, I almost want to go. Oh, ProtoH with the mistake, locking up. He's going to have to take the long way around. Mitchberg follows in sympathy, I think, there, as both of them going wide and off the track, and that puts the gap up to 2.2. ProtoH looking to use that consistency once again. But yeah, at the front, it's looking like it's a game of cat and mouse at the moment for mistakes. Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, it looks like Mwellman is just not managing to... Oh, look at the sliding from ProtoH. Those tyres are not cooperating whatsoever, and I'd say Buller might have made the same mistake as well, as the gap now down to 1.8 seconds. So everything's cooking at the moment, including the tyres, including the drivers, including the track. It's looking like, ironically, for the 3rd race in a row, we will have a grandstand finish.
Yeah, we've got one more back marker for these drivers to contend with. That could play a factor as well, allow ProtoH and Mitchberg potentially to catch up if it comes at a bad time. For Buller, the worst time most likely would be at some point through the S's in the middle sector, maybe getting stuck behind for the stadium section as well. But the gap's currently sitting around 1.5 seconds, 3 seconds covering our top 3 drivers as we make our way. Another mistake there for ProtoH through the first corner, really struggling on those brakes. The cadenza driver can't quite seem to get the consistency down after a stellar first stint. The mistakes seem to come flooding in now.
It certainly does seem that way. It's looking like, as I love seeing all 3 drivers within visual distance here of the cameras, as another lock-up once again. But it looks like the gap, as you said, is ebbing and flowing, and not really changing that much, ironically, as everybody else in the midfield also increasing the gap, so not much to look at right there, as various people have mistakes. I think the one thing that can be said about this race is just the limited grip has made the driving even more difficult difficult than usual, and that's led to certain people maybe not taking the amount of risks that they normally do, or indeed just struggling right from the get-go with tyre wear. I noticed that everybody that made a mistake in the opening lap's a mistake from ProtoH. This might lose him P2. Can he get it back on track? Yes, he can. That was very lucky to keep it out of the barriers, but the gap now 3 seconds. Buller building a little bit of a comfort zone, and now Misberg smelling blood.
Yeah, I mean, Mishberg, I'm surprised he isn't as close as he was. He's lost about a second to Buller on that previous lap as well. It's not just ProtoH struggling to pace here. Both of them losing time to our lead driver, who is set at 29.1. Only a couple tenths off his personal best, and I believe the fastest lap of the race as well. So he's putting some stellar laps together, while those behind seem to start to struggle. Let's see what he can do through these final few laps of the race. Can Mishberg closes? That gap comes down to 1.2 seconds coming down towards turn number 4. The gap is tumbling, and surely it's just a matter of time. Another mistake for ProtoH, locking the rear tyres, and that's going to allow Mishberg to get that bit closer. The gap under a second just briefly. Is he going to stay under a second as they make their way through turn 6, coming down by a couple tenths? Small mistake there from Mishberg as well. Both these drivers seem to be struggling on their rear tyres. They continue on now in towards the S's. This is really a game of cat and mouse. One driver makes a mistake, then it's the other making a mistake. That gap resumes back to about the 1 second that it's been for the past few laps. Having to cut over the curb there is Mishberg, just struggling to get the car turned in now.
Yeah, I really do think that there's just so much going on that the drivers have to manage, and that the drivers are looking at in terms of temperatures, fuel. Oh, lovely. I want to say lovely rotation, because it is, but you don't want to be sliding the tyres at all during this phase of the race. And Mishberg just not managing to do that as the gap's stable at the front between ProtoH and Buller. We might see our first victory of Buller today. It's been so close for the first 2 races, but no cigar. Could it be this time? Could it be their time in the sun? We'll have to wait and see. As ProtoH's gone wide a little bit again, the lock-up's happening, the tyres complaining, and the more they lock up, the more they have to manage, the more they have to worry about the tyre temperatures, and it just seems like to be a spiral, a vicious spiral, dragging them down constantly, as it just looks like on the brakes they have no performance left. Look at how much Mishberg closed in there, as he gets all sorts of out of control on the curb just to compensate, but in the braking zones he's got at least 5 meters better brakes.
Yeah, and Buller starting to catch up to the back of Chapman now as well, getting ready to lap him. Not going to be too much longer before he will be diving his way through, and it will be a pretty clear track all the way to the end, unless we see some mistakes from some of the drivers up at, down at the back end of the field, I should say. But yeah, Buller right onto the back of Chapman now. I think we might be able to see it potentially as we make our way through the stadium, although it looks like he is a little bit too far away through the tight twisty corners to be able to see it, but through the peril tire for our leader, and now we make our way through as well. Mishberg about 9/10 of a second off the back. He is very much getting closer and closer and closer, and very soon might be finally thinking about that overtake. Just got to make a few mistake-free laps, and that should be his opportunity. Chapman gets out the way for Buller, I think, up at the front of the field. Buller getting himself through, and that should be the clear track that Buller needs to find his way through to the end of this race.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it, and that gap increasing 3.4 seconds, so ProtoH needs to get a move on. I'd say, once again, strangely, the pace of the cadenza is dropping off, and look at the brakes. It just looks horrible to not even be able to brake in a straight line. It's just falling off of a cliff, the performance right now, and we saw that at Road Atlanta. It just halfway through the race it became undrivable. I'm not exactly sure what causes that, but there you go. It's become a trend, and Mishberg all over the back right now. Look at this, just glued to the diffuser. And look at the aggressive lines that Mishberg is able to take compared to that cadenza. And they've got the back marker to navigate as well. This is going to be so complicated. At least ProtoH gets it turned in nicely. But actually this could help him in terms of slipstream if everything goes according to plan. But the plan should be to catch up to the leader, but it's not happening for the moment.
Yeah, ProtoH seems to get a bit of a better run through that final sector, and that's really allowing him to bring that margin back up. At one moment, it was down to about half a second. It's back up to about 0.8 of a second. So working a little bit in the Cadenza driver's favour, but he's got 10 minutes still of racing as the back marker gets out the way here. For these two drivers in towards the first corner we go, and once again ProtoH a small lock up there, trying to get the car rotated into the first braking zone. The gap half a second as they get onto the power. You can see the delta going yellow at the top right. That means he's getting closer slowly but surely, and very, very soon I think we could be seeing some more battles going on. ProtoH another bit of a lock up there as he tried to get the car rotated in. Mishberg going a little bit deep into 4, cost him a bit of time in 5, but he's getting closer and closer into 6, going very tight to the inside, almost contact made. He had to stop the car as he made his way through. That was very nearly a big moment for the drivers running in 2nd and 3rd.
In recovery though, you could see the inputs of the driver just trying to get the maximum out of the car to go for an overtake. This could be a good opportunity. Can you get the switchback? No, defends. Oh, big defending there from ProtoH, just not wanting to let Mishberg even have an inkling of a move around the outside. Can you do it? No. ProtoH defends, but yeah, just again 2 times they wanted to get the switchback and it just hasn't worked. ProtoH's doing a masterclass of defense, but the performance has dropped off of a cliff right now. The gap now to the leader is 6 seconds and climbing, so all of this battling is ironically dropping them back into the clutches of Miranda, who's just out in the middle of nowhere at the moment, just starting to approach the pit straight here. But yeah, that gap could drop, and with 8 minutes to go, if they keep battling, this could be on.
Yeah, most of the drivers running in a bit of no man's land. Not too many battles happening out there on the track, but this is the big one, and it's for big points as well. It's for 2nd place here in this race. 43 laps completed by the drivers so far, as we now make our way in towards turn number 4. Mishberg still looking to try and find that grip with a slightly alternative line in towards turn 6. This time around not quite close enough to try a bit of a dive up the inside. But continuing on nonetheless as we make our way through the middle sector. Still half a second, running a bit wide though there for the Forenzo car. Still trying to hunt for the grip. Continuing in the tyre marks of the car in front.
Huge,
the gap closing.
Huge snap of oversteer there. Not sure if you saw that, but he lost a good 2 or 3 car lengths there, which could have got him closer. And indeed, all the way over the curb, that's lost another, and sliding still in the entire 3rd sector. They've been sideways at this point, and that has lost them the best part of 1 second. The gap now 1.5. They could have been so much closer, putting on the pressure. But Mishberg, it's their time to make the mistake after the mistakes from Buller. The gap, ironically, down to nearly under 6 seconds once again. So ProtoH may be getting the tires in the correct window now, maybe understanding how to drive the car, or maybe just more comfortable on a worn set of tires. It can happen. But Miranda is closing in. The gap now down by 1.2 seconds in the last lap alone. There is just about enough time for that gap to close completely.
Yeah, it's going to be a crucial one if he wants to try and make the move stick. Got to keep the pressure on. Got to try and minimize the mistakes as well, minimize the rear sliding, and that is not going to be ideal for Mishberg. Losing the rear end as he gets onto the power out of turn 4, costing himself that little bit extra time that he could not afford to lose with just 6 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in this race before that checker flag will fly and we start the final lap of the race. 1.7 seconds, 1.6 seconds, continuing on. He actually seems to find a bit of time in this middle sector as he presses on through here. The gap, 1.5 seconds, running towards the stadium section, not making the same mistake twice. The mistake he made last time around. The reason why he is so much further back, 1.4 seconds now into the stadium section, where it's been a bit weaker, and a bit of a slide in the background there, I think, from one of the back markers.
Again, a slide from Mishberg in the stadium section, and he's lost another 0.3 of a second. The gap just not going his way, and visually now, it's quite a sizable one, not even one where you could attempt a braking move into the last lap. So a lot of work to do in the last 5 minutes of this race. It was looking like a grandstand finale, looking like a crunch to the last lap, but for the moment, Buller has managed to get not only the overtake done, won in dramatic fashion, but has just managed to pull away afterwards as the other two have battled. And you can see there visually what the gap was. That was Buller just turning into the first switchback section. And yeah, just the performance window for second place and third place has just completely gone out of said window. I think tumbled down the stairs as well on the way out, so not the best in terms of scenario, but we still remain hopeful that we will get a battle here, as it still does look like Misberg has the better pace. It's just, can they get the consistency, can they keep the tyres in the operating window this time? The gap now down once again briefly to 1.4 seconds, so a little bit of performance here and there might make the difference. As can both of them make the turn? Yes, indeed. That turn into the stadium has been the most tricky of the evening, but it looks like everybody's mastering it little by little.
Yeah, the heavy braking zone seems to be the ones that are really catching the drivers out. Turn 1, turn 4, and that corner heading into the stadium section as well. And yeah, it's definitely a tough one when you are getting onto the brakes at such high speeds, especially with the reduced downforce. The air's thinner, 2,200 meters above sea level, as we plunge our way down towards turn at number 1 once again. 3 minutes 55 left on the clock. I expect you're probably going to get about 3 more laps in this race for the drivers to complete.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be one of those things where I think they're actually going to be close. We're doing another lap. By my calculations, that timing is going to be ever so close to for or against, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe even Buller, oh no, he's only got 5 seconds. He can't really afford to lift off a little bit to lose some time, so they'll have to keep pushing. But yeah, Wellman has dropped completely off of the back of Belazug. Now they're now running just in complete clean air, but look at that, Miranda P4. Not quite. I was just waiting for the camera to pan to see if they're in visual distance, but not quite. But they are closing in. Although, just as I say that, they've made a mistake and lost 0.4 of a second. So, we do apologise. Commentator's curse. There we go.
Well, I mean, that gap was 10 seconds about 10 minutes ago. They are definitely finding a bit of time here. Oh, they have got a back marker there in front of them as well. Now they're going to have to navigate their way through. So that might cost them a little bit of time and a little bit of hopes in case maybe there's a couple of mistakes still to come in this battle for second place for them to try and sneak their way onto the podium. 1.1 seconds now between Mitchberg and Prodhan, and Morand going to fly shortly past the back marker down this straight. And there we go, we see the back marker pulling over to the right hand side of the track. Morand goes through and can continue on their way. The gap back below 1 second though in this fight at the front, and the time is ticking down, the laps are ticking down. 2 laps of racing. I believe we are on the penultimate lap of the race if my calculations are correct, so crunch time really coming in. Look at the time that Mitchberg is finding here. The gap now down to ½ a second compared to Prodhan. He's closing in corner after corner, gonna really try and set himself up for a final lap charge.
The race engineer has said there's no tyre saving anymore, and I think this is what we're seeing. We're seeing somebody that's confident they're going to get to the end, confident the tyres can last, although from what I'm seeing from the driving, the tyres are anything but there, all over the curves, very aggressive but not really gaining anything from it. The gap back up to 0.8 of a second. I think they might have done better by just keeping it cool, calm and consistent, as the gap to Miranda now down. Oh, the big mistake, that's it, that might be the one that settles the podium right there. Misberg just sliding all the way through that corner and the tyres just giving up completely. It was on the cards there, they were pushing really hard, and you could see even through the fast section there was just no grip, it just wasn't happening, and I think they were just a little bit too ambitious. But will anybody have any pace left in the tyres? I mean, it could happen that on the last lap here the tyres just give up completely.
Yeah, it was about 1 minute 20, I think, when Buller crossed the line, so the timer will hit 0 before he gets back around to start another lap. 6 seconds is his advantage. He can coast that car home, and he should have plenty of margin. Doesn't need to risk or afford any mistakes. Morand only 4 seconds off the back of Mitchberg, and in towards the braking zone there. A bit of a lock up there for Mitchberg as well. That gap going to continue to tick down. A little bit of time found for Morand as they make their way through, but I think it's just going to be too little too late, unfortunately, unless we see another big mistake for the Forenzo driver.
Yeah, it's looking like too little too late, as Buller is just romping it home at the moment, just doing everything he can to keep it cool, calm, and he's just... Apart from the first opening stint where the pace wasn't stellar, he's managed to ramp it up once again toward the end of the race to just be, I would say, dominant. Leader is on final lap. These are the last 2 corners of the race, and we are going to finally have it. Buller Ferrand has the win that he wanted across the line. It has been a dominant performance, it must be said, with ProtoH will come across P2, a deserved performance, although very disappointed. Mitchberg, what could have been with all of those mistakes, but still a podium. Morand crosses the line, P4, pretty gutted, I'd say, to be on the podium, but then again thankful with all of that batting. Urbanovsky in the fight initially for the victory has just dropped off of the pace with the tyres not complying whatsoever, and they will come across to complete the top 5. But Wellman, and actually Belasuk has made a mistake, and that means that Wellman is actually up to P6. That one has completely gone under our radar with the top 3 battling, but Wellman will come home to secure P6, not the victory that he had last time out, but he is the highest car in terms of his car class or category, let's say, so he can take that in terms of reassurance, let's say. Chapman has finished the race a lap down, so again, a top 10 performance, but a lot of argy-bargy in there. Finishes ahead of Marino and obviously Baylor, who retired from race. Belasuk struggling to get across the line. I think maybe some fuel, maybe out of fuel there, as he might park it up right there, as we're about to see last person across the line. I think it's Crow right now. So Bennett finishes behind Chapman, then Marino, then Gebhardt, who's just crossed the line, I think, and Crow will cross, sadly, as the last finisher of this race, with Giovanni, Baylor, Warren, Savoya, and I think there was another driver that's not featuring on that list, not finishing the event, sadly. The most sorry, I love to see the lock-up like that. It's classic sort of, I don't know, Fast and Furious race ending right there. Very spectacular. But for Buller, that is the event that they wanted. As we're seeing donuts in the background, I think that's Misberg. Misberg going for the donuts, but do we see donuts from Buller? Yes, here we go. We love to see it, don't we, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, sensational stuff in the stadium section as well. All the fans crowded around. And what a show from the Peugeot driver. 2 times he came oh so close here in VRC. And finally coming out on top. No back markers to trouble him tonight. They all got out of the way nice and clean, and all the drivers celebrating a great result here in this race. Lots of points being scored by all the drivers, and that will really help them out in the championship.
Oh, synchronized donuts. Oh yes, give us some more of that. Oh, lovely display from our drivers there. We'll give them 11 out of 10 for that one. The racing might have been a little bit argy-bargy, let's say, in the midfield, but they certainly know how to put on a show, that is for sure. And for Chapman, I think that top 10 finish will be the best of what they could, and sadly it has been cut in terms of the donuts right there. So that was your race result. Well, I was entertained thoroughly by that race. A lot to keep up with at times with the pit stops and all of that, but indeed our drivers have once again put on a stellar demonstration of what it is like to race flat out. Perhaps maybe we can get some interviews. Let us see if we can get anybody. At the moment, nobody coming for a chat, but then again, they might be taking time just to discuss 1 or 2 things before they go into the comms box. Let's have a look if any of them want to join. Do you see anybody, Josh, that is available?
We got Fro the Pro once again. I cannot remember who is who. So we've got
Take your
two
pick.
people in the waiting room. Let's drag Frodo in and have a quick chat.
Well, hello there. I just want to confirm your name with you because the usernames in Discord are a little bit different, but talk us through your race a little bit.
Yeah. It was good. The first stint pretty much was like I had a lot of confidence. I was, you know, really consistent, like surprisingly, but yeah, I was putting in the laps. I was even like pulling a gap on Antonio. And then yeah, after that pit stop, it was okay, but I guess I made a mistake into turn one, lost the rear end, and my tire temperatures just skyrocketed, and I just lost all confidence after that on the brakes. I just kept losing the rear, couldn't get the tire temps under control, and yeah, that's when Bula passed me, and then yeah, just pulled a gap on me, and I was defending from Rob for a while. That was pretty fun. Yeah, that was pretty butt puckering, but yeah, thankfully I was able to defend that.
So just to confirm for everybody, this is Froyar finishing P2 in the cadenza. Got it all figured out now. Yeah, just want to ask you about that sort of the pace degrading. We've seen that in quite a few races now. Race 1, not so much, as Di Giovanni managed to win the race, but race 2, it was the same thing where the cadenzas were very good initially and then just dropped off with either mistakes or tire temperature. Do you think that's something that is inherently weak in the car compared to the others? Because the start that you had was absolutely stellar, but as you said, it dropped off. So is it multiple things, or do you think that's just an inherent weakness?
I couldn't say, to be honest. I mean, obviously I made that horrible blunder at the last race at Road Atlanta, so I couldn't even say since I didn't even have a second stint there. But the first race at Spa, I actually had a good second stint. I made up a lot of places in that second stint. Well, not places, but like there was a huge gap, but I made up a lot of time. But yeah, I think it was just down to me, losing concentration and then having that spin, and then just couldn't get the tire temps under control. That's just me though.
Josh, maybe.
Yeah, how tricky was it? How tricky was it managing those tire temperatures? Because we saw quite a lot of drivers sliding around. Was that something you really had to focus on throughout the race, or was it more focused on the fuel and the battery management?
100%. It was, yeah, the tire temps keeping the tire temps under control was a huge challenge. Yeah, I did my best, and even then, like especially the rear left, it was like closing up to 105 degrees. And then after I had that spin, it was like 110 degrees. I noticed anytime it goes like over 105, it's just the car is just completely undrivable. I'm just, even I have my engine braking's all the way down. My brake bias is, unchanged. I put my regen down quite a bit too, and I'm still losing the rear under braking. I just couldn't close up the gap to Buller again after that.
Wow, that's shocking to hear, really. And I guess we'll move forwards then into Watkins Glen. Is that a track that you like? Do you think you can get closer to the victory on that one?
Yeah, hopefully. I honestly, when I was practicing earlier, I hated this track. I was like, I don't know, I wasn't bad, but like I was in the 129s, and I was like, how are these guys in the 128s? I could not find the pace, and then yeah, I guess I made a few tweaks to my setup, and then I was able to unlock some pace, and then it wasn't bad. So like, it's all right now. I don't hate this track anymore. But yeah, it's Watkins Glen is definitely one of my top tracks. I love that track. So, and hopefully, like with more downforce, it'll be a lot more confidence inspiring and enjoyable for us drivers. But yeah, I'm ready to get going. I'm looking forward to it. I need to catch up in the points after messing up so bad in Road Atlanta, and then having that ridiculous pit stop issue in Spa.
Okay, well, Josh, got any closing thoughts or questions?
I don't think so. I mean, just great drive today. I mean, maybe with a few less mistakes, could have been a little bit further up, maybe fighting for the win. But overall, I think a really decent job today.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I'll echo that just shortly, saying, commiserations on missing out narrowly on the victory. With all the problems that it sounds like you were dealing with, it's still a good result, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. I did my best. I'll take it. I'm not too upset with that. That was, at the end of the day, that was my own mistake that, caused me to lose that win. But, I'm much happier than the last couple races. That's for sure. Thank you, guys.
Anyways, our pleasure to have you in the commentary box, and good, better luck next time, I guess.
Thanks.
And congrats on P2.
Thanks.
Okay, well, interesting to hear. Just confirmation that the tire and just temperature was off the scale, I guess, for everybody today. Let's see if we have other drivers to potentially interview. Who do we have then?
We have Vinny 4K and RC3. If I had to guess, remember, I think Vinny is Buller,
Yes,
so we can have a quick chat with him.
I think that might be good. So I think this is Mr. Buller.
Oh, hi. Yes.
How does it feel then to finally get that race victory? Must be oh so sweet.
Yeah. Really, I'm really happy. And I'm even happier because I didn't do a lot of mistake this race. So I'm really happy. I think it's a deserved win for one time.
Yeah, and in terms of the race, it was a pretty interesting one from your perspective. The last two races you've started off really well, and then there's been a few problems toward the end of the race especially. This one was the opposite. You started off very slow and then built yourself up, and you were coming back, and then other people were making mistakes. We've heard from Freuer, P2, that the tire temperatures were all over the place, and it was just an impossibility to contend with. So what was your view on the race?
First of all, for the tire temperature, I think that all the car are a bit oversteery because of the low pressure air simulated by the track. And we were like 20 degrees higher than the supposed temperature. So it was really hard. But at the end, I was very slow at the beginning of the race because I was stressed out, first of all. And I was like highly fueled because I don't want it to do a really long pit stop, like refueling in a long time. So I was like, okay, I will start with a lot of fuel, and this fuel that I have, I will not have to add it during the race. So let's try this strategy. So it cost me a lot of places at the beginning. So I had to fight with some Arden and some Ferenzo, sorry. And the first stint was tough, but as soon as I pitted and tried to, undercut with the fresh tire and low refueling, it went very well. My pace was really much better. If you want some data, I was like 1 second off the pace on the first stint, and at the end I was like 0.5 seconds faster than the majority of the drivers. So it really paid off. Not a lot of mistake. So yeah, I think it paid off, and I'm happy with that.
A lot of statistics there. I just want to say lovely stuff. Love to hear that. But it does explain why he had a shorter pit stop. We were looking at the leaderboard thinking, hang on a minute, he's just gone into the pits and gained 2 or 3 positions compared to everybody else. So there you go. The dots are starting to connect. Josh, maybe you got a follow-up question.
Yeah, I mean, do you think this is a strategy you can try and carry forward? Do you think this is something that will work at Watkins Glen next time out, or do you think maybe you're going to have to try something different there?
I don't know. Maybe this time I will try. It depends of the fuel consumption and the tire degradation, because on this track they were both a bit high compared to Spa, for example. And maybe the zero stop, but it's not a zero stop, but just like going into a pit, like add 1 liter of fuel and just go out could be a good strategy, considering that if the tire degradation is not that big, you come out with tire already hot, and not refueling is gaining a lot of time. So I don't know for now, but the strategy I just did looked really consistent too. So yeah, a lot of possibilities. And yeah, Walking Glens will be for sure a most satisfying track. Because I don't know if some people said it to you, but yeah, Mexico was really not frustrating, but restraining the performance of the car because it was a lot of slow corners with a lot of curbs, so we really needed to be on the edge of the grip. And as I said, the low pressure air and the low grip and oversteer car was really really hard. Yeah, it was really mental race. So I think that Walking Legs will be better.
Do you think it'll be better for your car versus the others, or do you think, you know, maybe with the less downforce you had a bit in the tank today just versus the other cars? Because from what I heard from the Cadenza side, it was a really just impossible for the last, let's say, half of the stint. So what's your analysis?
Like, can you repeat the end of the question?
So the Cadenza was having a lot of problem with tire temperatures. So your car may be being more balanced with the aerodynamics, okay, not having a rear wing. Do you think that helped you on this track and may be a disadvantage on the next one?
Yeah, for sure. I can't really know because of the fact that I really can't drive the other car, so I don't know the balance. But on purpose, I put it like a less, like the anti-roll bar, the rear one. I put it like softer to be a bit more understeery and have a bit more confidence in the car. But overall, yeah, I think every car was really oversteery. We practiced a bit with Prodan before the race, and we were like on the same temperature on the tire, really really hot, especially the rear ones. And yeah, at least the Cadenza and the Peugeot were like on the same level of degradation, temperature, and maybe balance. But as you know, it's yeah, it's a feeling, so we can't really know. But maybe yeah, the ground effect car was maybe better, but I don't know because there's a lot of curb you need to take like really hard, like turn 1, 2, and 3, and even like the stadium parts. So yeah, I can't really say, but yeah, Peugeot, sorry, wasn't really the easiest car to drive, but I think it's the same for everybody. So yeah.
Oh, very good stuff. Josh, any further questions?
You lead the championship now by, I believe, 42 points. So heading into Watkins Glen, I think all you need is a P12 to wrap the championship up. How confident are you feeling heading into this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident, but I think that the Cadenza will be fast, considering the track. But overall, yeah, knowing that who has 42 points less than me? Who's the second?
It's Lucas. It's Lucas. I believe he's the only
Lucas.
one who can actually fight now. Everybody else is too far back.
Giovanni disconnected or had a problem during the race, so he's out of the
Oh
running.
no. Okay, yeah, I was wondering what happened to him, but okay. Oh, it's yeah, it's a shame, but okay. Yeah, so pretty confident for the championship, yes. For the race, not necessarily. But yeah, considering the performance I did before, I think yeah, it should be. I just need to bring it home, you know. So it should be good. You know?
It's always when they say that, isn't it, Josh? It's when they say I need to bring it home that stuff starts to go wrong. So, what do you think you can literally just lift off and coast home, or is it more safe maybe to just keep pushing? What's your opinion?
I think putting myself in a fake pace is maybe more dangerous than just push. But yeah, I will not take unnecessary risk during that race, of course. Yeah, I don't like to drive like lifting and everything. It's like yeah, it's irregular, it's dangerous. I prefer like doing a lot of laps in training and just go on track, do what I need, and yeah, we'll see after that. Yeah, and again, yes, I need to do some good qualifying. The two previous one was like, unexpected, to be honest. Again, I was not really in the pace during the practice session before the race, but I don't know if I put it this lap in, but it paid off, so I'm happy. Just a lot of practice. I think it will be the key for the regularity and the good result for the next race.
Okay, well, unless Josh has any other questions, we'll let you celebrate your victory.
Anything else from me? Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, again, great stuff, great consistency. The pride of the class, let's say, for the moment. So good luck into that next race. I'm sure the others will make you fight for it. Let's put it that way.
Yes, thank you a lot. Take care.
All the best. Lovely to see the analysis from our drivers. You know, they've always got so much to say and so much like fine details that you can't necessarily see from the comms box or from spectating. So yeah, brilliant stuff. Do we have any other drivers waiting for an interview?
We have RC3, who I can only guess is going to be Rob Midgeberg, if I had to guess. Hopefully it is.
We'll find out.
But I guess we'll find out.
Okay, hello, welcome to the comms box. We would just like you to confirm your name for us because the Discord names are very different to your race names.
Meisberg.
Ah, yes, right, P3.
Not Meisberg.
Meisberg, sorry. Pronouncing names wrong is a classic of the comms box, as you know. It's a rite of passage, as they say. So, from your perspective, the race was a little bit great pace for a start, but a lot of mistakes, a lot of lockups and difficulties. So was there a reason for that? Was it the same as the other drivers have been saying, just the tire temperatures? And are you happy with your result overall?
Well, in the first stint, I was like really happy with my tires, and I was just trying to follow Bueller and I think Urban Nosby. And after, nearing the end of the first stint, I was catching up to Giovanni and Prodon, but those guys all made little mistakes due to the tire temperatures, and I actually started following them in those mistakes. I was like focusing too much on them, and then in the second stint, I had completely no feeling in the tires. I thought I maybe equipped the wrong tires in the pit stop, but that wasn't the case. So I was like really struggling for the grip. I didn't feel right with the car, and eventually Prodon came in front of me with after his spin, and he started making more mistakes. And again, I followed him in those mistakes, and that combined with that not great feeling in the second stint made it a little bit messy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from quite a few of the drivers that the tire management was quite a struggle. How was it from your side? Were the temperatures a little bit higher than you were expecting, maybe?
I must be honest, I don't really focus on the tire temperatures when driving. I'm just trying to go as fast as I can, trying to judge the grip every single corner. And if something's wrong with tires, I just try to drive around it.
Completely different to the other drivers in the top three. We've got a huge amount of analysis, especially from Bueller, just trying to say, well, this was the reason, and I was trying this strategy. And in fact, Bueller went for a different strategy, overloading on fuel slightly for the first stint, so that
really?
the pit stop was shorter. Yes, interesting strategy. So. Do you think maybe perhaps the race was decided on strategy rather than pace, or?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I saw that Bueller was right behind me when I came out, and eventually overtook me in corner one, because I was like focusing so much on the Giovanni that I thought, Bueller doesn't have the pace at this moment compared to me, so I can stop focusing on him and just focus on the two cadenzas in front of me. But I was like really shocked when he eventually found the pace as well, likely due to that fuel load difference in the stints.
So a case of a driver basically, I won't say outsmarting because he wasn't sure it was going to work, but it finally did pay off in the end. Going forward to Watkins Glen, do you have any tricks up your sleeve? Do you think the Ferranzo will perform well there, as it seems to perform a lot better in Mexico than it did in Road Atlanta?
Well, I might try to do the same strategy as Bueller. I did look into that whilst practicing, but I personally came to the conclusion I would lose too much time in the first stint for that to be worth it. So maybe I might try it for the next race. And in terms of Watkins Glen, it isn't a circuit I'm like really good at. It's not my type of circuit. I like technical circuits more. Watkins Glen is a really difficult flowing circuit to me personally. So I just try to do the best I can and see what I end up with.
Okay, well, that's a great way of thinking about it. Just try and go flat out and see what you can do. We do love that, and we loved seeing you battle all the way throughout the race. So it was very, very entertaining. Josh, any further questions?
Nothing else from me. Just congratulations on the podium and best of luck next time out.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
And apologies from me, from both of us mispronouncing your name. Meisberg, I guess, is the closest I can get to it now. I hope that's a little bit better.
That's not even how we say it in Dutch.
Well,
but that's kind of my English version of it.
Fair enough. Well, I'll try and see if I can look up some Dutch pronunciations. That's for sure. I'll put it this way: I haven't had the privilege to commentate on Dutch drivers before. Would you believe? So there you go.
Really?
New markers, as they say, throughout the entire season. But yeah, exemplary driving. Thank you ever so much for joining us in the commentary box.
Thank you very much.
And all the best. Well, it's a linguistics lesson as well in the comms box. Sadly, we don't always get it right, but a bit like our drivers, there's always some room for negotiation and indeed sometimes for error, sadly. And that was certainly an error-strewn race, wasn't it, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, that race was really defined by the mistakes, to be honest. I mean, maybe ProtoH could have held on to the win if it wasn't for that mistake he had down at turn 1. I mean, it's hard to tell. It seemed that Buller really had the pace as soon as he got through into that clean air. But you never know. Maybe ProtoH could have held on and defended out for those final few laps.
Yeah, I think it was, as I said, it was going to a grandstand finish, and literally it was made by mistakes once again. For once, Buller didn't run into a back marker, or a back marker didn't run into Buller. I should probably say it that way around. Otherwise, I'll be getting some angry messages in French after the live stream. But yes, it was one of those races where the potential was there, but it just, I won't say fizzled out at the end, but the mistakes happened and the leader got away, and we had a battle for P2 in any case. But yeah, I was thoroughly entertained with that race, and I'll say once again that if you want to see and catch up with any of the action so far, you can hit that subscribe button so you can go and have a look at the videos of the past, but also stay tuned for the finale that we have coming up in, I think, 2 weeks' time at Watkins Glen. Same time, same place. And also, you can check the link in the description and like the video. Because I think the VRC team deserves it for a start, but also if you want to check out any of the social medias, you can check that in the description. And yeah, they have some wonderful stuff, including details about all of their projects and works, and some lovely, gorgeous screenshots of their cars, which look the part, and as we found out, sounded the part. So yeah, Josh, any closing thoughts?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to Watkins Glen. The racing we've seen through these first 2 events, it's been amazing stuff, and a really great track as well for that final round. Should be a really exciting one, and hopefully not so many issues with the tire temperatures of the sliding cars for the drivers.
Well, at the end of the day, every driver has to put up with it. Everybody's got the same temperature. Nobody has some trick McLaren cooling system at the moment in VRC, but I'm sure they'd all love to get their hands on it, let's put it that way. So yeah, on that note, a victory finally for Buller, he'll be very, very satisfied, and for everybody else, it will be back to the drawing board after that strategy has blown my brains and will be leaving everybody scratching their heads, I think, until the next race and trying all sorts of weird things, a bit like Di Giovanni did in the first race with that non-stop strategy. But for today, that is it for our show. We hope you've enjoyed. We certainly have in the comms box. I want to thank Josh for joining me, and it's been everything for the moment from me. I've been John Harris, and it's been a pleasure to commentate for you. But until next time, have a great 2 weeks. Enjoy the world of motorsport, enjoy the world of VRC, and see you next time at Watkins Glen. Bye bye for now.
Under the lights, but I'm feeling alone. Lost in the crowd, yet your ghost calls me home. Echoes of laughter, memories stay, but in my heart the colors fade away. I still feel